The Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show starts now on the Lorain County Sports Network, your home for high school sports. Tune in for the Coach's Corner presented by Buckeye Community Bank, where we speak to the coaches and get their thoughts on the season, this game, and their teams moving forward. Don't forget, immediately following the last play of the game, join us for the Postgame Scoreboard Show presented by I-90 Nissan, featuring live interviews with players and coaches from around Lorain County. You can watch the postgame show live on Facebook at WOBL WDLW Sports. Tonight's games are brought to you by Lang Optical, Stewart's TV and Appliance, Buckeye Community Bank, Mental Health and Addiction Recovery Services of Lorain County, Justin Miller, Esquire, Jamie's Carpet Shop, Lorain County Visitors Bureau, Lorain County Clerk of Courts Tom Orlando, Derek Hammonds of State Farm Insurance, Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson, Vans Auto Repair and Tire Pros, Lorain County Community College, Janasco Insurance, Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services, Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran, E.H. Roberts Heating and Cooling, Achieve Credit Union, Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance, Ernie's Auto Body, Brian Victor of Howard Hanna, I-90 Nissan, Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, Al Januzzi CPA, Zabo Apparel Company, Valley Chevrolet, Jones Bones Barbecue and Grub, Network Land Title Agency, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Lorain County, Rich Ramsey for Judge, Brian Baker for Lorain County Commissioner, Rich Resendez for Sheriff, Elyria Jewelers and Repair, Lorain County Commissioner David Moore, Jack Hall for Sheriff, Kelly Dieter for State Representative, and Giovanna Scarletta Bremke. After the break, we will talk to both of the coaches in tonight's matchup. Like, follow, and subscribe to Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. It's time for Lorain County's Friday Night Lights with WOBL and WDLW Sports.
Welcome back into the Lorain County Sports Network, cruising right along here on our Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show. Time now for our Buckeye Community Bank Coach's Corner. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. And we are joined by Padua head coach Kevin Kubit. Coach Kubit, we certainly appreciate you giving us a few moments of your time here. And let's talk about the way this season has progressed for you guys so far. You guys have a couple of wins this year, a couple of losses. Oddly enough, Coach, you guys have played in 3 games where the losing team hasn't scored a point. Tell us about this roller coaster ride you guys have been on 4 weeks into the season.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. You know, one thing about us here at Padua is we're not going to shy away from the competition. So, you know, that week 2 matchup against Perkins was probably we probably bit a little bit off more than we can chew. But I think it helped us going into week 3 against that Lutheran West team. And then last week, to be honest with you, the ball just did not bounce our way. You know, we gave up an opening kickoff return for a touchdown. They had a fumble for a touchdown, a pick 6 for a touchdown. So the ball just didn't bounce our way last week. But I think, you know, coming off of last week, it got us more focused and more prepared coming into this Elyria Catholic game.
Are there some areas where you feel like you guys have really grown, maybe not since the beginning of the season, but maybe since the beginning of training camp? Are there some areas or maybe some individuals that have really kind of grown a ton?
Yeah, I think overall going into year 2 with this staff, I think, you know, defensively, I think we've really grown up in the entire offseason and in through training camp and to start the season. You know, Coach Andy Schumann and his staff do a great job in in preparation, a lot of long hours. So I feel defensively we've really grown up, especially since that week 2 game, as far as, getting to the ball, knowing the game plan, tackling, obviously, first and foremost when it comes to defensive football. But I feel defensively we've grown throughout the season and throughout training camp.
Seems like you've got a lot of seniors as far as the position players go offensively. Riley Cervenka, Kristen Ruggiero, and you've also got Nick Barker at quarterback, Robert Glove as your tailback. When you take a look at that senior group of position players, what really kind of stands out about them?
What really stands out with those skill players is they're unselfish. All of them all of them want the ball in every given play, but they realize there's only one ball to go around, and their willingness to share that and to share that spotlight is what stands out with those guys.
And let's go one step further and talk about the big boys up front. When you take a look at you guys all the way across the board on the offensive line, seems like you've got a nice blend of size and athleticism, and that seems like that's something that applies to both sides of the ball. As you examine your linemen, what stands out about that group?
How close they are. Those guys, they train together. They've been training together since November with our offensive line coach and defensive line coach, and they've kind of created their own little bond within their unit. I mean, every Thursday, and it's going to happen here at 5:30 today, they're all going to go out to dinner as the week ended and get ready for tomorrow night. But on both sides of the ball, this is a very, very close offensive and defensive line group.
Well, and of course, tonight you're taking out Elyria Catholic, a team that's just had a tough season so far at 0-4. They face their fair share of tough competition and still looking for that first W. Coach, as you examine Elyria Catholic on paper and on film, what are some things that they do that concern you a bit going into tonight's game?
What concerns us is their receiving core. They run good routes and they can catch the ball. And because of the quarterback is the reason why that receiver is good. I'm very, very high on their quarterback and their skill players on offense. And their defensive line concerns me as well as they get off the ball fast. And
finally, Coach, a couple of keys in your mind that would go a long ways to getting a Padua victory tonight.
For us, it's establishing the run game. That's something the last 2 weeks without Rod Love we haven't been able to establish. So I'd like to see us establish that run game. And I'd like to see us finally take advantage of some special team opportunities tonight.
Outstanding. Well, Coach Kubit, we certainly appreciate the time. Thank you so much for spending the last few minutes with us here. We wish you the best of luck against Elyria Catholic tonight.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach. Again, that's Padua head coach Kevin Kubit joining us here on the Buckeye Community Bank Coach's Corner today and tomorrow. Your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. We'll step aside and take a quick timeout and come back with more after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back into the Buckeye Community Bank Coach's Corner today and tomorrow. Your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. We're here with Elyria Catholic head coach Chase Ferris. Coach, we appreciate the time as always, and I want to begin by talking about this passing attack of yours. You guys seem to be doing some very good things with that passing attack. Who or what's kind of paced that for you guys so far?
For us, it's all about the leadership. We got a good group of guys. We got a senior quarterback, a couple senior receivers that are out there. They set the tone, they set the pace, and the rest of the team has to follow with that.
Take a look at the rest of the offense and that rushing attack, too. Seems like you guys have a lot of key contributors there. Let's talk about the tailbacks in particular and also that offensive line. What's made that group go?
Man, they just had the mesh. Right now it's all about getting those guys together. Get them to trust each other, get them to communicate on the field. When they get quiet, things turn out differently. But once they talk to each other, they get out there and they get after it, man. And it's an amazing thing to see when it gels.
So this is your second year here, and of course, I know you're looking to do a lot of different things and get this program to continue to grow. What areas of growth do you see that you really like the most since you took over just over a year and a half ago?
Right now, I think the numbers. I think we had the biggest freshman class. So far we got about 30 freshman kids in. So overall, as a program, we have around 75 kids total. So now it's time to grow that and mature those guys and get it really rolling.
Let's stick with that maturity topic too, because it does seem like you guys are playing some younger guys, and it seems like you're getting more confidence with that group too. What kinds of signs of maturity have you seen from some of your underclassmen?
And like our underclassmen don't talk; they just go out there and work. You know what I mean? And that's what you want to see. You know what I mean? It's a good feeling to have young guys. You know what I mean? It's a sure sign for the future. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I said, we lean on that senior leadership to keep this thing rolling.
Well, we talked about what's going on the offensive side of things. Let's take a look at your defense now, too, Coach. We'll begin up front. You know, with some of the guys that have made a lot of noise for you, you've got a lot of quarterback hurries I see in those numbers. Your ends seem to be making a lot of noise. What do you like about that defensive line?
Man, Trent Merrill, you know what I mean? He's a guy that anchors it. You know, he can play inside, he can play outside, he can stand up, he can put his hand in the dirt. You know what I mean? He's very versatile. He was an all-district guy last year. I believe he was third team All-State, you know what I mean, as a sophomore starter, first-year starter. You know what I mean? So we expect a lot from him, but we also know he's willing to get it going.
Yadier Perez and Joey Schild, your linebackers, two guys that have tallied a lot of tackles so far this season. What is it that makes that group stand out in your mind?
Man, just the leadership. You know what I mean? Overall, making the defense their own. Like I said, we put in a new offense this offseason, new defense this offseason. You know what I mean? So those guys really have put in the work in the field, well, in the film room and on the field to be able to go out there and make it their own.
You know, certainly not the start you were looking for, but, you know, sometimes there are victories within losses. What are some things that you take away from the first 4 games of the season that makes you pretty positive heading into a game like this tonight?
The ability. You know what I mean? We have ability. You know what I mean? For us, I tell our guys, I say, hey, pressure can bust pipes or it can make diamonds. But the good thing about pressure is when you're under pressure, people expect things from you. You know what I mean? When you don't have any pressure, that's when you have a problem.
Of course, you're taking on a Padua team tonight, 2-2 on the year. They've played some difficult teams, and they've had their fair share of ups and downs. As you examine those guys on paper and on film, what are some things that they do really well that concerns you going into tonight?
Oh, it's a physical group. You know what I mean? They have some speed on the outside. They have a physical group up front. So, you know what I mean? The battle is always won and lost in the trenches. You know what I mean? And the speed guys on the outside, they kind of solidify things. So we're excited to get after it today. You know what I mean? That's all I can say about our guys. They're excited to get out here and get after it.
Got to ask you about this facility. I mean, it's been a few years since I've been here, Coach. It almost looks brand new, and I'm sure the guys are looking forward to kind of feeding off of some of that energy. You know, what are some of the benefits in your mind of playing at a facility like this and in front of a crowd like this, too?
Yeah, for us, like I said, the bleachers are, you know what I mean, were completed this spring. You know what I mean, we're just happy to get those up. The turf, you know what I mean, we've been here for a few years. But like I said, facilities aren't a problem for us. You know what I mean, we're excited to be able to be out here and to compete, to have the opportunity to be out there or in a facility like this. You know what I mean, it's just a blessing in general.
And finally, Coach, a couple of keys that would go a long ways toward a victory in your mind for tonight.
That's 4 things every week. You got to start fast, we got to finish strong, compete and communicate. And when we do those things right, and we'll be okay.
Coach, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much.
And thank you.
Elyria Catholic head coach Chase Fair is joining us here on the Buckeye Community Bank Coach's Corner. That's Buckeye Community Bank today and tomorrow. Your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. We'll step aside and take a break and come back with more after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome out to Dan Reeser Stadium here at Elyria Catholic High School, where tonight the Panthers look for their first win of the season as they take on the Padua Bruins, who enter tonight's contest at 2-2. Greetings, salutations, and welcome in to the Lang Optical broadcast booth. Lang Optical, see the difference. Andy Bolbarge joined alongside my tag team partner, Max Drummond. The captain of our ship is the director, Edwin Vereen, and we've got Sam Sovacool working the camera tonight. This is the Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show, and Max, we should be in for an entertaining ball game here tonight. Elyria Catholic, again, still looking for that first win at 0-4 on the year. And Padua comes in at 2-2. They've played some tough opponents so far.
They certainly have. Both really challenged themselves in their non-conference schedule. And it's that type of adversity that can kind of build you up towards conference play, and particularly in this North Coast Conference matchup.
Well, lots to get into over the next 15 minutes or so before we kick this thing off. But, you know, let's take a look here at some of the keys to the game early on, brought to you by the Mars Board of Lorain County. Be there for someone struggling with addiction and mental illness. That's the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Lorain County.
Well, we'll start with the Elyria Catholic Panthers. As you mentioned, they are looking for that first win on the season here in 2024, and they've been somewhat close in a couple of their games. They obviously had a huge lead. You may have been listening on WDLW, one of our radio broadcasts. They were up on Mayfield. They had that game in hand, and they weren't able to hold on. And then they had a halftime lead against Vermilion, and that one they let get away from them as well. So one of the Panthers' keys has to be maintaining that momentum. They can't get too high. They can't get too low on themselves, and I think that first one is a major key. If they were to get a lead tonight, they have to keep as though it is still a 0-0 ball game, or that it is still tied. So they can't afford to let that momentum slip out of their grasp and play conservatively. They still have to maintain some aggressiveness, and a lot of that could come through their outstanding wide receiver core. They've got two great ones there with Xavier Castillo as well as Connor Petrus, both seniors, and they have to play a huge role tonight against Padua, who likes to play a lot of man coverage. They have to take advantage of those one-on-one opportunities throughout the evening and help out their fellow senior quarterback, Darrell Schumpert. And also, when you look at that Elyria Catholic defense, they might have some opportunities tonight to force Padua into some tough situations. If they can pressure quarterback Nick Barker for the Bruins, then that could go a long way, forcing some mistakes. He had a couple turnovers in their previous game against Sandusky, so they definitely would have to get after him and to see a lot of success on that side of the ball. And then moving over to Padua, that running game, it's got to be effective tonight. They get Roderick Love in there, their star running back, as he is a highly touted prospect for the next level, and we can expect to see a lot of him, and I'm sure they want to be able to use him up as much as possible, not let that Elyria Catholic offense get into a rhythm. And then my next question almost into one of these keys for Padua is which defense will we see tonight? They've had 2 games and their 2 wins where they've given up a total of 6 points. And then you look at their 2 losses, well, they've given up a combined 63 in those games. So which version of that Padua defense are we going to get here against Elyria Catholic?
A lot of contributing factors in there as well, but I think you could also make the argument which team period, not just, which defense will show up. But, I mean, in the games that they've played so far, they've been involved in 3 shutouts. It's just been a roller coaster ride for Padua so far. And you talk about Elyria Catholic and the way things have transpired so far. It's going to be a little tricky to try and keep piecing this thing together. Let's take a look at our injury update. And this is going to be something we monitor throughout the course of the night because there are some big contributors that will be missing on both sides. Injury update brought to you by Derek Hammons of State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Well, one of the tailbacks that you alluded to earlier, a guy that's going to get a lot of looks in this game, Roderick Love. He had a bone bruise. He was out for the last couple of weeks, and many that follow Padua believe that some of those games could have been a little bit closer if he had actually been playing in those games, but he's been out the last couple of weeks. He'll be back and starting tonight. They are missing one of their other tailbacks, and Dominic Santoro with an ACL and MCL injury, and also Zion Castillo. We did not see out there warming up with the first team, so it is expected that freshman Juels Martin is going to get a bulk of the carries, if not all of them, here tonight. So that'll be interesting to follow because Zion Castillo has been really one of the guys they've gone to a ton, but he didn't play a whole lot last week against Vermilion either. So it's a freshman who they're going to be giving the ball to quite a bit, and you never quite know how a freshman's going to respond.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, once you get into that situation, you rep it a lot in practice, and you can watch as much film as you want, but that speed on Friday nights, it's a bit different than Saturday mornings in some cases on Thursday nights for a freshman team. So it'll be interesting to see how much they use him, as they were able to get a decent amount of a running game going against Vermilion, a team that liked to run the ball, so they kind of had to counter that with their own rushing attack. So definitely interested to see how Padua responds to that. And on Padua's side, the Bruins getting their own star tailback back into the lineup in a more full capacity.
Let's look at our officiating crew for tonight, brought to you by Justin Miller Esquire, serving your legal needs. That's Justin Miller Esquire. Our head referee is John Rock, the umpire Marty Lincoln, linesman Timothy Grasson, line judge Joseph McCafferty, and the back judge Tony Serino. Those are the officials all night long, brought to you by Justin Miller Esquire. Team captains coming up next, courtesy of Jamie's Carpet Shop. Shopping made simple, that's Jamie's Carpet Shop. The captains for Elyria Catholic, number 0, linebacker Yadi Perez. Wide receiver number 1, Xavier Castillo. The quarterback, number 7, Darrell Schumpert. Defensive lineman, tight end, number 9, Trent Morrell, and number 16, wide receiver, Connor Petrus. Taking a look at the captains on the other side for the Padua Bruins, number 63, Brandon Hamady, number 52, Jacob Dusek, number 10, Roderick Love, number 6, Brady DeVore, and number 1, Devin Shaw Mason. Captains again brought to you by Jamie's Carpet Shop, shopping made simple. We had the coin toss just a few moments ago. Padua won the toss, and they deferred to the second half. We're seeing a lot of teams do that. As a matter of fact, I think in just about every case in our games this year, the team that's won the toss has indeed deferred. Coin toss coming your way courtesy of the Lorain County Visitors Bureau, celebrating 200 years together. That's the Lorain County Visitors Bureau. Well, let's take a look at our weather and field conditions, brought to you by Lorain County Clerk of Courts Tom Orlando, a proud sponsor of high school athletics. That's Lorain County Clerk of Courts Tom Orlando. And Max, I mean, it looks okay for now, although we do see some interesting colors in that skyline due southwest of here, and there is a chance of a shower a little bit later on.
You're right. I know I had to run and get one of our camera tents to make sure our operator up there, Sam, if it does start, is covered and keeps the camera protected, as well as himself. Right now, we've got 77 degrees here, close to kickoff time, and we've got a little bit of wind, 6 miles an hour, so nothing that will likely affect the kicks, but you might see a bit of a breeze out there with the flags on top of the goalposts.
Coming up here in just a few moments, we will let the Elyria Catholic Marching Band take over with the national anthem, which is brought to you by Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. Stay safe, Lorain County. A message from Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. We'll pause in a moment and let them take over, but a lot to get to between now and the beginning of this game, including the starting lineups, and we'll get to that here in just a few moments. And they're going to do a short prayer, so we'll step aside and we'll let the crowd mic take over here.
And your church gathered here today. Help us remember that our most important goal is simply to do our best. Grant us a healthy and respectful spirit of competition. Watch over the Bruins and the Panthers, their coaches, the referees, fans, students, and alumni. May we respect the gifts and abilities that you have given to each. Let us honor your Holy Spirit living within us and guide us to be people of E, excellence, and C, compassion. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Our Lady of Victory, ladies and gentlemen, the Elyria Catholic Alma Mater. Once again, we will wait till both teams are on the field before we play our national anthem.
So with that, we'll keep things moving here on our Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show. Shop smart, shop local, shop Stewart's TV and Appliance in Elyria. Let's take a look at our starting lineups. Lineups brought to you by Vans Auto Repair and Tire Pros, your trusted local auto repair and tire shop. That's Vans Auto Repair and Tire Pros. Drove by Vans on my way out here just a little bit earlier today. Let's take a look at the offense for Padua. Number 17, a senior wide receiver, 6 feet tall, 170 pounds, Riley Cervenka. Wide receiver, number 14, 5'8", 145, Christian Ruggiero. Number 63, left tackle, Brandon Hamady. Left guard, number 70, Bo Barney, 6 feet 270, center. Andrew, and this is going to be a tough one for us to say all night long, Mersikowski, 6 feet tall, 220, a senior, number 79. Let's step aside for the national anthem for just a moment. We'll come right back. A lovely rendition of our Star Spangled Banner from the Elyria Catholic Marching Band. Again, the national anthem brought to you by Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson. Stay safe, Lorain County. We were going through that starting lineup for the Padua offense. Let's continue through here. Number 52, right guard Jacob Dusek, 6'2", 40 senior. The right tackle, number 72, Thomas Swartz, 6'2", 220 junior. The tight end, number 33, Gio Roman, 6'1", 190 senior. And at wide receiver, number 9, Brady DeVore, 5'10", 175-pound junior. In the backfield, senior quarterback Nick Barker, 5'11", 195. Tailback, a senior, 5'9", 170, Roderick Love. How about that EC defense, Max?
Looking at the Panthers, we'll start up front as they have Kylan Connors, number 33, their defensive end, a junior. Then in the middle, Jacob Gillespie, as he's a 6', 260 junior, also in the middle. Kanan Regis, 6', 240 junior. And then at the other defensive end spot, Trent Merrill, who is a 6'3 junior. Moving on up to the linebackers, got Yadi Perez, 5'11 senior, and Joey Schill, a number 47, 5'10 junior. Then in the secondary, where we've got 5 members back there, they've got Ryan Brown at corner, and then the other corner, Donovan Schumpert, sophomore, starting back there. And then the safeties we'll see is Quinn Rower, a sophomore. Also Malachi Johnson, number 3, another sophomore, and get this, another safety back there that is a sophomore, and Mikey Bates, who wears number 6.
Let's look at that Elyria Catholic offense. Wide receiver number 1, Xavier Castillo, a senior, 5'11", 170. Number 4, a senior wide receiver, Jaden Ramos, 5'11", 170 as well. Left tackle, Brian Kelly, 6'2", 235 senior. Left guard, Omari Ortiz, number 75, 6'1", 240 junior. The center, Luis Angel Hernandez, 5'10", 205 junior. The right guard, Kanan Regis, 6', 240 junior. The right tackle, Amari Lynn, 6'4", 250-pound junior. Tight end number 47, Joey Schill, 5'10", 190 junior. In the backfield, quarterback number 7, Darrell Schumpert, 6'3", 175-pound senior. And as we mentioned earlier, a freshman tailback, and Juels Martin. He's 5 feet 7 inches tall. Also number 16, Connor Petrus, a wide receiver, 6', 180 senior.
Then over to the Bruins defense, starting up front, Ryan Arco, an outside linebacker. We'll see him line up on the edge of the line there. Then moving over to the defensive end, Jacob Dusek, a 6', 240 senior. In the middle, Braden Hamadi, a 6'4 senior wearing number 63. And then the other end, Dominic Hankins, And then moving up to those linebackers alongside Arco, there'll be Ethan Bidet, junior linebacker, wearing number 7. Devin Shaw Mason, a senior in the middle. Also, Nick Kelly will hold down a middle linebacker spot. And then the other outside linebacker, Brady DeVore, a 5'10 junior. And then moving up to the secondary, we'll see a lot of Christian Ruggiero at number 14. And then the safety, Connor Williams, 5'10 senior, and Kyle Krasick, the 5'8", 150-pound senior.
We're all set for our opening kickoff, brought to you by Lorain County Community College. Kick off your future with LCCC. That's Lorain County Community College. Caleb Zolkowski, a junior kicker, 5'10", 145, tees it up at the 40-yard line. Connor Petrus is back deep inside his own 5-yard line, ready to retrieve it. Xavier Castillo is back there along with Kai Toten. Zolkowski will kick it away, a high kick end over end, and we've got whistles already. It looks like somebody came across early, so that's going to cost Padua 5 yards.
Well, we already know the great athletes that Elyria Catholic presents on offense, and a couple of them back deep there here on the return, so just giving them even more field to work with here.
And when you talk to both coaches, all week long trying to get ready for this game, the record means something at this point for sure. But I think Padua goes into this knowing that EC isn't a team that you can take lightly at 0-4. They've had some things go against them. They're a talented team, no doubt about that, and I think they're just kind of waiting for that one game where they can put it all together. Zolkowski kicks it away again. High end over end. Petrus is going to retrieve it around his 11-yard line. He'll take it past the 20, up to the 25, angling toward the far sideline. And he is wrestled down by Ethan Bidet after getting close to the 35. So not a bad return.
No, not at all. And definitely the penalty played a factor there. So great to see the Panthers take advantage of that and give this offense could trying to use a boost here to get some wind in their sails and make it an even more effective starting point.
Darrell Shumpert leads the charge for the Elyria Catholic offense. The senior has completed 49% of his passes for 687 yards. He's thrown 8 touchdown passes to 3 interceptions. He operates out of the shotgun, takes the snap. The give will go to Juels Martin, but he has nowhere to go. Stood up immediately at the line of scrimmage. They may mark him down back at the 35 for a loss of 1.
It's certainly not how you want to start a game, but last week we did probably see them take one of their bigger steps forward against Vermilion, picking up as many rush yards as they did. I believe most in the game on the season are very close to it, so I'm sure they will continue to go back to the well tonight.
Antonio Haddad was credited with that tackle for loss. A botched exchange. Somehow this pass gets off to Connor Petrus, makes the catch, and as he takes a big hit at the 44-yard line, Connor Williams made him pay the price, but Petrus picked up 8 big yards on the play.
Much needed to keep the drive on schedule here, and just a great job by Shumpert staying cool under pressure, and that's part of bringing a new freshman running back, or a new running back in general, just getting that timing down, and right there we see him adjust well.
They'll get to the line quickly. It's 3rd down and 2. They'll send a man in motion. It's Toten. Shumpert grabs the snap. They give to Martin. Martin, he gets dropped at the 44-yard line. Just didn't have anywhere to go. And Maxey made one man miss just to get back to the line of scrimmage, but couldn't do enough to pick up that first down. The offense stays on the field.
Yeah, great job there by Nick Kelly, one of the inside linebackers, just coming in on a blitz, and he did not hesitate once he was in the A-gap there.
4th down and short. They have to get just past the 46-yard line to keep this first drive going. Darrell Shumpert has the same personnel on the field. He'll grab the snap, looks left, throws left, incomplete. He was looking for Xavier Castillo around the 50-yard line, but the pass fell incomplete. So Elyria Catholic will turn it over on downs.
Well, certainly a tough break there for the Panthers because they haven't been able to command respect running the ball yet. So, of course, they have the box loaded up on them, but it was the right play call with the blitz coming in, just out of reach was that pass.
So here comes this Padua offense. As a team, they're averaging just under 16 points per game this season. They've been shut out a couple of times. Nick Barker, 5'11", 195 senior, leads the way, completing just under 60% of his passes this season. Back in the shotgun, looks to his right, throws right, caught in a screen by Cervenka. Room to run down the far sideline. Cervenka spins out of a tackle at the 25 and gets down to the 20-yard line for a first down. That's a 23-yard pickup on their first play of the game.
I mean, and that's just a brilliant play call, catching the Panthers off guard with the screen, and a great lead block by the right guard, Jacob Doucette, to spring the play open.
And all Barker really had to do there was kind of just look left in the direction of Roderick Love, and that was enough to get EC's defense to slide that direction for just a moment, opening things up for that screen. First and 10 at the 21-yard line. This time it's a keeper. Barker takes it right side. He's able to get inside the 20, breaks a tackle at the 10 to the 5, and he reaches out toward the pylon, and he's in for the touchdown. A 21-yard touchdown rush by the quarterback, Nick Barker. And Padua fires the first shot, taking a 6-0 lead with 9:33 to go in the first quarter.
And for Barker, not really known as a scrambler, he's good at moving around, buying time in the pocket, but really just unloaded the scrambling ability that time and really shocked the Elyria Catholic defense, who, I mean, they had the right coverage there up at the line of scrimmage, but just nobody behind them.
He somehow wiggled his way past Peter Kenny, and as soon as he got around the corner there, he was off to the races. Zolkowski on for the extra point. It's on the way, and it is good. Snuck that in, that left upright to make it 7-0. Padua leading EC with 9:33 left in the first quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. After Elyria Catholic went for it on 4th and short on their side of the field, they turned it over on downs, and just 2 plays later, Padua scores the first points of the night on a Nick Barker 21-yard touchdown rush to make it 7-0 Bruins early on in this one. So happy to have you with us on a beautiful Friday night here at Dan Reeser Stadium at Elyria Catholic High School. I'm Andy Bolbarch. My tag team partner is Max Drummond. Edwin Vereen is the captain of our ship. He's the director. And up on the roof, we've got Sam Sovacool working the camera tonight.
And on that last play of the drive there, just a 2-play drive, of course, we saw quite a shocking, just not really having any safety valves back deep for the Panthers.
Zolkowski's kickoff bounces at the 2 and goes into the end zone for a touchback. First snap of each half brought to you by Janasco Insurance. The protection you need, the service you deserve. That's Janasco Insurance. And Max, a chance here for this Elyria Catholic offense to get back to work. They had decent field position their last time out, but just couldn't capitalize as they went for it on 4th and short and came up empty.
You're right, and on that first snap of the half, they chose to go with a running play, and obviously passing is their strength, so maybe you want to not play to your be too predictable, but I think with the weapons that they have with Petrus and Castillo, we'll probably see, and now trailing, we'll probably see a little bit more passing being an emphasis here on this second drive.
We have a flag thrown immediately from the official on the near side. He's heading out to talk to our head referee, John Rock. And it looks like that's an illegal substitution, so Juels Martin has to come off the field. There were 12 men on the field for EC, and that'll march them back 5 yards. It's an empty backfield for the Panthers. 5 wide look, Darrell Schumpert waiting on the shotgun snap. Rolls out near side right, looking down the field, fires, and it's caught by Ramos. He stumbles down near the 25-yard line, and another flag comes in at the very end of the play. That came after Ramos fell to the turf. And it looks like it's a face mask going against Padua.
Well, it's a good job there by Ramos, just sitting down in the zone. With all those other receivers in the formation, it really just spread that defense out. And it's typically one where they like to line up in a 3-3-5 and leave those corners on islands. And that can be a downside of it right there, leaving a lot of open space.
So that's going to pick up a first down for EC. They were able to net somewhere in the area of 11 yards on that, which would have left them 4 yards short without the penalty. But the face mask will put the ball up at the 41-yard line, where it's 1st and 10 for the Panthers.
Once again, we see Padua drawing up some possible pressure here. We'll see if they decide to keep that after a potential audible.
1st and 10 for EC. They'll give to Martin, turns the corner left side. He's able to get up to about the 48-yard line before he's tackled after a pickup of about 7 yards.
A great job there just avoiding that blitz as they were able to kind of wash it down over to the backside of the offensive line. And Martin, just great job finding the opening there along the left side of the line of scrimmage.
That's the best running play EC has run to this point. They had a tough time getting that ground game going on their opening drive. Nose of the ball resting at the 49 now. That makes it a pickup of 8. 2nd down and 2 for the Panthers as they near midfield. Shumpert drops back. Looking down the field, has time, fires across the middle. Leaping catch made by Xavier Castillo. Steps out of a tackle at the 25, inside the 20. Tackled from behind, inside the 10 at the 8-yard line. 1st down and goal for the Panthers. Xavier Castillo was able to get loose down the field and broke a couple of tackles. And EC is set up inside the red zone, brought to you by Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services. Visit superstevesells.com for more information. Shumpert grabs the snap. They'll give to Martin. Big hole up the middle. Makes his way up to about the 1-yard line. He's awfully close, but he's just shy of the goal line.
Well, and on the previous play, they desperately needed that chunk play. And Connor Williams, the safety for Padua, went for the pick instead. And obviously a great receiver like Castillo, if you give him an inch, he's going to be able to take a mile. And he did exactly that, setting them up here.
2nd down and goal. All lined up right at that 1-yard line. Shumpert continues to operate out of the shotgun. This time Martin's off his left hip. They'll move Petrus in motion, near side right. They give to Martin. Martin stood up, nowhere to go. They're trying to push that pile forward past the goal line, but he's going to be marked down right around the 1.
Well, there's a lot of size to deal with in the interior of that Bruins defensive line with Hamadi and Dusek both coming in at an average of 260 pounds. So they may have to try to use their speed to an advantage there. I liked Petrus coming in motion, maybe drawing the attention of some players in the back end, but definitely don't want to go right at those big fellas if you don't have to.
3rd down and goal. Shumpert directing traffic back of the shotgun. Takes the snap, rolls out, near side right, fires to the back of the end zone, nobody home. It's incomplete. Well, he was looking for Benjamin Essenmacher, but there was nobody back there. And now it's 4th down and goal. Decision time again for head coach Chase Ferris.
And they were aggressive to open up the first drive there, so can't imagine anything different. And that's exactly what we're seeing. You're right, Bull.
Now the tailback is Kai Toten. Snap taken by Shumpert. They give to Toten. Toten stumbles forward. He's awfully close. No sign just yet. And it looks like he stumbled short of the goal line. So they'll turn it over on downs. And Padua takes over at the 1. EC was oh so close to tying this thing up, but the Padua defense with a great goal line stand.
Exactly right. And once we get a look back at it after the game, he may have been able to extend, but just a great cut tackle right there. Met him in the hole, and he just wasn't able to extend the arm far enough and keep this at a 7-0 lead for the Bruins. So
now the Bruins will have to operate out of their own end zone here, as that ball can't be much closer to the goal line.
No, not at all, and it'll definitely factor into how they play call here, as they love to spread it out just like EC does. We'll see if that impacts them here.
They will stack receivers on both sides of the line. Love the tailback. Barker in the shotgun, standing in his own end zone. There was some movement up front, and this may have bought Padua a little bit of breathing room. Actually, no. Now the official on the near side said that the movement came on the Padua side.
Well, almost no harm done there for Padua. Wouldn't be surprised if they attempt to go for another hard count here. We'll see.
So it's a penalty that cost them just a few inches. 1st and 10 with the ball inside their own 1-yard line. Barker grabs the snap, drops back to pass. Pressure coming, unloads this one deep down the field. There's nobody home. He had Brady DeVore, but that ball was thrown about 7 yards past him. Nobody in the area, and Max, it kind of looked like he just let that loose because he heard some footsteps.
He certainly did, and you got to be careful. This goes not only the possibility of a sack or taking a hit here, but if one of those big fellas get caught holding, that could spell trouble here and a possible safety.
That's a great point. This just seems like that part of the field where you're just trying to survive and somehow get away unharmed. Probably one of the reasons why Elyria Catholic decided to take the risk and go for it.
Certainly.
They'll give to Love, cuts back up the middle, and it takes a few Panthers to drag him down at the 5-yard line. And that's his first carry of the game. And while that may not seem like much, that's a pickup of 4 yards, which now gives them a chance on 3rd down.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes that close to your own end zone, patience, you might say, throw it into the wind, just go and get what you can. But he did a good job waiting for the blocks to develop. And he really almost broke it off if it wasn't for safety Connor Soltis screaming up to the line and just limiting him to 4.
3 receivers to the near side. They've got one lined up far side right. Love off the right hip of the quarterback Barker. Barker back to pass. EC rushing 4. Fires right side. The pass is hauled in by Cervenka along the far sideline for a 1st down. He was escorted out of bounds near the 13. And that'll move the chain gang 10 yards.
Well, and it was a great route there. He knew that there was no safety over top of Malachi Johnson to help him out. So just a good job selling the deep route and just a quick comeback to the sideline.
And that's got to feel great for Padua to get out of the shadows of their own end zone. Now they've got some room to work with. They lead 7-0 over EC, 5:40 to play, first quarter. And they'll stack receivers on both sides again here. They'll send a man in motion near side left. They'll give it to Love, and Love is wrapped up immediately. Nowhere to go. Well, they faked the give to the man in motion, and that was Connor Williams, who they faked the give to, and EC's defense did not bite on the fake.
No, not at all. Those inside linebackers, Yadi Perez and Joey Show, both came just storming up and limited it to maybe getting back to the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 10 from the 14-yard line. Padua trying to take a 2-score lead. It took them just 2 plays to score on their opening drive. On a touchdown rush from the quarterback, Nick Barker. And somebody moved early for Padua again. It cost them just a few inches last time. This time it'll cost them 5 yards.
Definitely have a little bit more of an impact there. It looked like the previous time an EC defender did jump, but it was because of a response there. And that same time there, the defensive end for the Panthers, it looked like Toten reacted as well. So that Padua offensive line, just a little jumpy at the moment, but they got a very experienced quarterback behind them. I'm sure they'll get that ironed out.
2nd and 15. Barker looking to pass again. Throws right side incomplete. Again looking for Cervenka, but Cervenka kind of stumbled as he was coming out of his route there, headed toward the far sideline. And the incompletion brings up 3rd down and 15.
And even with it being a mistake, just kind of losing his feet in the turf leads to a very costly mistake there, an incompletion. Now we'll see if they just try to go up top again like they did previously in this drive, maybe try to draw an interference of some kind. Long way to go.
3rd down and 15. They have to get just past the 24-yard line to keep this drive going. Barker with 4 receivers to work with again. Back to pass. EC rushing 4. Fires across the middle. Caught by Love. Love takes it to the 20-yard line. Breaks 1 tackle. Steps out of another one at the 20. And he goes down near the 22. Mikey Bates was able to get just enough of him to keep him from getting that 1st down.
Man, and he's so close to that 1st down to gain line, and we'll see how aggressive the Bruins choose to be here.
It's 4th down and 1. And right now the offense remains on the field.
And Love hadn't really had a chance so far in those first couple running plays. Right there, he gets to show off that great speed.
They bring the quarterback right up to the line of scrimmage, and some flags immediately begin to fly. It sure looked like somebody moved early for Padua. They did. You talked about it a couple plays ago, Max. The offensive line just seems to be really jumpy on this particular drive, and that makes this a much easier decision for Padua head coach Kevin Kubit.
Well, it's too bad because they do have a lot of size in the interior of that offensive line, and it appeared like they may have gotten it, but obviously the EC defense wasn't fully ready with the whistles being blown. So definitely the smart move here.
Caleb Zolkowski handles the punting duties for Padua. He's back around his own 5-yard line. Connor Petrus back around his own 44. Low kick. Bounces at the 43-yard line. Takes a nice bounce over to Petrus at the 45. Tries to turn the corner at the 50. Down the near sideline he goes. He is shoved out of bounds near the 35-yard line. And that was Gio Roman who shoved him out of bounds. But Elyria Catholic with great field position to start their 3rd drive of the game.
Yes, flipping the field there, and turns out going for it on that 4th and goal from the 1, it may end up being a net positive here as they started the previous drive, got all the way down there from their own 25 last time. So definitely all you could ask for right here if you're Schumpert in this offense.
And they got that running game going at least a little bit last time out. Juels Martin in the backfield along with Darrell Schumpert. Martin goes in motion left. They'll throw it to him in the flat. Stumbles, gets the ball at the 40-yard line and takes it up to about the 35. Picked up a couple of yards. And when you get that pass, you want to get some momentum. But, Sam, it looked like he lost that momentum because he juggled that pass initially.
That's right. And we haven't really seen him go for a passing route out in the pattern yet. And may have thought twice about it, especially with Devin Shaw Mason bearing down on him.
Kai Toten comes in as the tight end here. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Padua showing blitz. Schumpert rolls out near side right, throws to Toten. Toten makes the catch at the 25, tries to leap over a defender, then he's undercut inside the 20 at the 18-yard line for a 1st down.
It's a great rollout action. They really sold the run on that one. And we do have a penalty down just past the line of scrimmage. We'll see what they get him for.
That's an ineligible man downfield. So that's going to cost EC. That would have been a big pickup and would have put them in the red zone. Instead, this will march them back 5 yards and make it a more difficult 2nd down scenario, as it'll be 2nd down at about 13.
Well, and that's a risky run going to the play action. Those offensive linemen did almost too good of a job of selling the run there, and it ends up costing them coming back here on 2nd down.
Schumpert looks toward the near sideline, getting the instructions from his coaching staff. 2:40 to play, 1st quarter. EC trailing Padua 7-0, but they have it at the Padua 40-yard line. Schumpert takes the snap. They give to Martin, and he's able to work his way past the 40 to about the 39. He was tackled by Dominic Hankins and company, limiting him to just a minimal gain.
Yeah, so they tried the pull action that time rather than zone blocking scheme, and it didn't really open it up like we've seen the last couple plays of the previous drive. So we'll see how they continue to try to attack in the running game.
3rd and long here. They need 11 yards to keep the drive moving. Padua showing blitz. Pass goes left side to Castillo, but the pass falls incomplete. Seemed like that pressure was coming so quickly that route never had much of a chance to develop.
No, it certainly did not. Castillo not able to get his head around it. It's unfortunate for EC because it was good placement on the football, just the timing was thrown off because of that pressure. So that's one, maybe as the game goes on, those receivers are going to have to make their cuts a little sooner than they normally do.
They'll keep the offense on the field on 4th down and 11. Boy, a bizarre look here. And now this Padua defense trying to align properly and set themselves up. And now we've got whistles and a timeout called by Padua. We'll step aside and take this timeout as well. Timeouts all night long brought to you by Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran, securing and organizing real estate documents. That's Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. 1:56 to go, 1st quarter. EC trailing Padua 7-0 on the Lorain County Sports Network. coming out of that Padua timeout is 4th and long for Elyria, and now they will change personnel as they will bring their punter Kai Toten on to try and boot this thing away and flip the field once again. Christian Ruggiero backing up inside his own 10-yard line.
Well, last season for the Bruins, he was a dangerous return man, and he's obviously got some of the most speed on that roster. We'll see if they give him a chance to return this one.
Toten will get this punt away. High kick. That's angling toward the sideline. Takes a big bounce, though, towards the middle of the field, inside the 15, down to around the 13-yard line. So not a bad punt by Toten, as he'll pin them inside the 20, and we'll see this Padua offense again.
Yeah, solid job by the junior there and not letting it bounce away on him. As sometimes when you're that close in plus territory, sometimes you can just end up with a touchback, but a good job there that time by Toten.
The last drive for Padua began inside their own 1-yard line. This time it'll begin at their own 13. Padua leads 7-0 thanks to a 21-yard touchdown rush by the quarterback Nick Barker.
Well, as backed up as they were last time, it just never felt like their offense was able to get into their regular play calling and scheming. So now with a little bit more breathing room, I'm sure we'll get to see a few more different looks here from them.
Receivers stacked on both sides again. They'll send a man in motion. It's Connor Williams. They fake the give to him. They'll set up a screen. Caught by Roderick Love. Takes it past the 20. He's tackled by Petrus at the 23, but there's a flag back at the 17-yard line. And that's in the area where you normally see a hold. And it looks like this is coming back.
So with the screen set up there were really only two options or two candidates for the holding. You had receiver Riley Cervenka one-on-one with the corner, but then coming from that line of scrimmage onto a linebacker, Bo Barney might have stretched out the shoulder part of the jersey of Schill for the Panthers, drawing that penalty.
That'll march things back inside the 10-yard line. They've yet to officially spot this, but they threw the flag around the 17-yard line. They'll spot that ball down around the 8. First quarter clock continues to run inside of 1 minute and 40 seconds left. First down and long for Padua. Williams in motion again. This time they give to Love. Love gets away from one defender, gets past the 15-yard line, but Mikey Bates will tackle him at the 16. So he gets about 7 yards, making it a more manageable second down scenario.
Yeah, so Jacob Gillespie, great job blowing up the play in the backfield. It's just an even better play by Roderick Love, bouncing around and making some defenders miss, making it a little more manageable here on second down.
Nose of the ball at the 16-yard line. They have to get just past the 23 for a fresh set of downs. Barker with 3 receivers. On the far side, short side of the field, it's Riley Cervenka. Back to pass again. Wide receiver screen to Connor Williams, right side. Takes it past the 20. Space to work with. He gets hit from behind and dropped around the 32-yard line by Connor Soltis. But that'll be another first down for Padua.
And I'll tell you what, those receivers are very unselfish blockers out there, and they've been the key reason behind a lot of these big plays, these chunk plays that they've been able to get on many of these screens and through the air at some extent.
Padua has it at their own 33-yard line. Capitalized on a short field on their first drive. Right now, that's the only score of this game, the touchdown rush by Barker. They'll give to Love. Love tries the middle. Big hole. And he's tackled by Petrus, or I should say he's tackled by Soltis at the 43, and that looks like another first down.
Well, he's so effective at those jump cuts. I mean, he doesn't lose any speed once he decides where he wants to go, and it's leaving these Panthers in the dust at the moment.
Both teams deciding to operate without a huddle. And both teams have had some success moving the ball to some degree. And that's going to take us to the end of the first quarter. So at the end of one here at Dan Reeser Stadium at Elyria Catholic High School, it's Padua 7, Elyria Catholic 0 on the Lorain County Sports Network. After one quarter of play, Padua leads Elyria Catholic 7-0 on the Lorain County Sports Network. Andy Bolbarch and Max Drummond on the call for you. Edwin Vereen, our director. Sam Sovakol working the camera tonight. Week 5 of the high school football season. A beautiful Friday night here in Elyria. Temperatures in the mid-70s. We're in short sleeves now, and we're going to enjoy that for as long as we possibly can because we don't know how much longer that's going to last.
You're right. We finally hit that balance where we're not sweating by the time we get up and get going here, but we're not chattering our teeth yet either.
Not just yet. 1st and 10 from their own 44-yard line. That's where Padua will have it to begin the second quarter. They lead 7-0 thanks to a 21-yard touchdown rush by their quarterback, Nick Barker. That's the difference in this one so far. Barker will grab the snap. They give to Love. Love scoots his way through the middle. Gets past the 50-yard line. Connor Petrus will wrap him up and tear him to the turf at the 41 of EC. But that's another first down for Padua.
Well, and you can see why so many MAC schools are interested in Roderick Love. I mean, he's just the smallest creases he can turn into huge runs. I mean, that could have been just a 5-yarder turns into a 16-yard play.
One of those guys that just when you think you've got him bottled up, he just finds a way to escape. And they've missed in the last couple of weeks. Coach Kubit was very happy to have him back. They'll give it to Love again. Tries the left side. He's able to get past the 40-yard line. Gets up to about the 36. He'll scoot his way up for 5 yards, setting up second down.
Well, you know, the Panthers were not necessarily excited to see him back out there because he just makes it so much more difficult because they already spread you out to begin with, and you want to commit as many guys to that secondary as possible, but you got to find a way to load the box here and shut down Love in this rushing attack. It's been pretty effective so far this game.
2nd down and 6. They spot the ball at the 37. Nick Barker grabs the snap and drops back. Pressure coming. He avoids the first wave of defense. Lobs one up in the air. Jump ball. Intercepted at the 8-yard line. Connor Petrus comes away with a big pick and takes it up to about the 12. And that pick was certainly forced by the pressure, Max.
Absolutely was. I mean, he had the pump fake around one defender, and then by the time he lets it go, another one was already in his face. And I got to believe if that's another safety that isn't Connor Petrus, I don't know if they're able to come down with that or finish that, but he shows off his amazing receiving ability on the defensive side of the ball and giving the ball back to the Panthers.
EC will take over at their own 12-yard line. That's the first turnover of the game. And Petrus comes through with a big pick to halt what was a pretty successful drive to that point. They had gone 6 plays and marched inside the EC 40-yard line before the interception. Schumpert grabs the snap. They'll give to Martin. Martin dances away from one tackle, and then he's knocked down near the line of scrimmage. Somehow scooted out of the backfield and was able to limit a loss on that play. Nick Kelly came in at the very end there to clean that play up.
You know, he did a good job trying to sidestep that, but being just a freshman, maybe in a game against other kids his age or in a game on Saturday, he breaks away, but Devin Shaw Mason, senior linebacker right there, cleaned that one up perfectly.
They'll actually mark him down for a loss on that. They say he went down now around the 11-yard line. They'll give it to Martin again. This time he's got room to run up the middle. He's past the 20-yard line, collides with a few defenders at the 23, and that'll be enough for a first down. So Juels Martin shot through that initial hole and found himself in some open space.
He saw what Roderick Love did, and he said, let me one-up that, and that's his longest run of the evening so far, 13. And a good sign here for this Elyria Catholic offensive line to try to get in a rhythm.
1st and 10 for the Panthers. Snap taken, they'll give to Martin again. Martin spins off the pile, then he gets hit, keeps his feet moving, somehow reaches up to the 25 to make that a gain of 1. Well, he had Ethan Midday in his face and kind of brought him with him up to the 25 to make that a positive play.
He's just doing whatever he can there, and that's a tough one because it was a delayed handoff, and you had some linemen pulling around there, so it can cause a big cluster in the backfield, and Padua took full advantage of the hesitation on that one.
2nd and 9 now for Elyria Catholic. They'll give this one to Martin again. Juels Martin breaks a couple of tackles, works his way up to about the 28. So he picks up a little, but not much. And now third down, facing the Panthers here at their own 28-yard line. We've got whistles and a timeout taken by EC with 8:55 to play here in the second quarter. They trail Padua 7-0 on the Lorain County Sports Network. Coming out of that timeout from Elyria Catholic, Panthers looking at a third down scenario here, Max, where it's 3rd down and 6 at their own 28-yard line. They've had a tough time on third downs so far tonight.
They definitely have, and we've had some successful passes through the air by the Panthers, so can't imagine that they try to go away from it here. It's just this Padua defense has stepped up and really clamped up in man coverage on those crucial third down plays.
Martin, the tailback. Darrell Shumpert, the quarterback, waiting on that shotgun snap. He's got 3 receivers at his disposal. Looking left, nothing there. Looks to his right, fires right side. Caught by Martin, gets past the 30, tries to dance his way past another defender, and then Devin Shaw Mason brought him down close to the 32. That'll be short of a first down.
Well, right away, you can notice it's a good job by that defense rallying because he's made at least 2 guys miss there. Was on his way to a possible third, but more Bruins just kept coming. And on that one, Padua did a good job making Shumpert hold the football there in the pocket as they dropped a couple guys out of the box at the snap. So trying to confuse him, he didn't throw it into any dangerous coverage, but had to settle for a check down.
Kai Toten set to punt it away. He'll grab that snap and get this punt off. A high kick, but not a very long one. This will bounce at the 48 of Elyria Catholic. That went out of bounds, and the official on the far side says it went out well before that. He'll put it down at the 45-yard line. So they don't net much out of that punt, and Padua will take over.
And we've seen this Elyria Catholic defense be able to step up and make some stops, and they're going to be asked to do so again. It's just what different ways will they see here from this Padua offense as they've been able to attack through the air, downfield on screens, and with running the ball. So it's just definitely a lot to have to try to keep track of.
Well, for Padua, they were able to withstand that shot of the game's first turnover. The interception does not come back to haunt them. They have it at the 45 of EC. The give will go to Love. Love tries the middle. Tried to spin out of a tackle, but he was brought down close to the 41, maybe the 42. They will limit him to a gain of just a few yards there on first down.
Yeah, good job of Yadi Perez holding on for dear life there, not letting him get away, and just limits him to roughly a pickup of 3.
Perez is EC's leading tackler. 52 total stops this season, 2 for a loss. 2nd and 7 coming up here for Padua. Well, for the most part, they don't change their personnel offensively. They got the same guys out there. They'll give to Love again. This time he is swallowed up in the backfield, back at the 45-yard line. Trent Morrell was there to take him to the turf at the 45 for a loss of 3.
Well, we've seen Elyria Catholic be very aggressive coming off of those edges, even on those read option plays. It's what sprung Barker for the big touchdown earlier, but right there he decides to give it, and Roger Love didn't have anything to work with. Both ends, Merrill, as well as Connors coming off the edge there and shutting that one down.
3rd down and 10 now for Padua. Barker shouting at his offensive line, trying to get everybody in the right place. Inside of 7 minutes to go in the second quarter, Padua 7, EC nothing. EC showing some pressure. Barker back to pass. Throws this one deep down the field. He's got 3 guys in the area. The pass falls incomplete. That was almost intercepted again by Connor Petrus. He was looking for Brady DeVore, but Max Padua was fortunate that wasn't picked off again.
Yeah, just another rainbow shot through the air there, and it was Merrill that caused another rushed pass, and it almost appears when they're in that situation the quarterback for Padua, Barker, is maybe looking for a PI down the field or just hoping his guy can make a 50-50 catch right there. Maybe 75-25, 2 EC defenders right in his way.
Caleb Zolkowski ready to punt this away. Petrus back inside his own 10-yard line. Zolkowski gets this kick away, angling toward the near sideline, bounces inside the 10. That's still going inside the 5, and it goes into the end zone. Tell you what, that was a pretty nice play by Connor Petrus to inadvertently kind of get in the way of that Padua Bruin who was racing down the field.
No, you read my mind. I mean, it appeared, it looked like there for the Bruins, it was going to be a pretty easy snag there before it hit the end zone by their defender. But no, I mean, that's just a veteran move there by the senior who's been returning the ball for a long time here for the Panthers.
Well, and a great job by that EC defense. Great field position for Padua. They had it on the EC side of the field, and they could not capitalize. So here comes the Panther offense. Well, they've been able to move the ball down the field, but still no points to show. Darrell Shumpert takes the shotgun snap. They give to Martin. He is swarmed immediately and dropped to the backfield. He went down close to the 15-yard line, and there was penetration right away as soon as that ball was snapped back.
Yeah, I mean, Mursakowski, who plays center on offense, one of their reserve defensive linemen in the game now, and just in one of his first defensive snaps, just blew that play up immediately.
What's 2nd and 15? We mentioned the numbers for Darrell Shumpert earlier tonight. 8 touchdown passes to 3 interceptions. He'll drop back to pass. Looking down the field, fires near side left, caught by Petrus. Petrus spun out of bounds on the near sideline, past the 30-yard line, close to the 32, and that'll be enough for a first down.
Well, and after the previous play was blown up by the defensive line, the offensive line there made a perfect pocket, and it bought more time for that deep out route.
EC gets to the line very quickly. They'll get the snap off. They'll give it to Martin. Martin turns the corner left side, cut down at the 35, and we have flags back around the 30-yard line. In the area where you normally see a hold.
Well, Martin was almost forced to bounce that play outside, which led to a couple defenders reacting quickly, and that offensive line in turn tried to as well, probably just not legally on that one.
So it's a hold against EC. That was our suspicion. And that'll move things back 10 yards. And this has been an issue for EC at times this season. Not that they were able to net much out of that game, but now it's 1st and long here. And they also kind of rushed that last snap because it didn't look like Padua was set. They were trying to catch them off guard. They'll send a man in motion near side left. It's a fake give. They'll throw it left side, and it's caught by Toten. Toten is stopped at the 31-yard line by Connor Williams.
Well, I love the way that they've been able to use Toten so far to open this game as he sets up almost in that wing H-back spot right off the tackle's hip, and he sold his blocking and just sneaks right out. Linebackers don't even see him coming out in the flats.
Well, they were able to get the defense to bite on that give to Martin. That got Shumpert enough time to roll out to the far side and then throw it down the field to Toten. Picked up almost all that they lost on that penalty. 2nd down and 10. They're showing blitz again. They'll fire it left side. Caught by Petrus on the screen, and he's stuck and dropped by Christian Ruggiero. Ruggiero tackled with the tackle at the 32, and now it's going to be 3rd down and long.
Well, and just looking at some of the film on Ruggiero last season, he is very physical on blockers, and then that also extends to hitting the ball carrier, as they like to leave him out on islands, and right there, just one-on-one with a fellow receiver on the other side, just not enough to contain him.
Just over 4 minutes to play in the 2nd quarter. 3rd down and 10. Padua showing blitz again. Shumpert looks back, fires this one right side. A leaping attempt is made, and the pass falls incomplete. He was looking for Connor Latia. Well, Latia tried to turn along that right hash and make that catch in traffic, but could not come down with it. And the Panthers will have to punt again.
Yeah, tight coverage there on the seam route by Brady DeVore for the Bruins. And I feel like if there was more time there for Shumpert to throw, he may have been able to hit Castillo down the sideline. Definitely had a couple steps on his defender and was getting past midfield by the time that ball was out.
So it's 4th down. Kai Toten will have to punt it away for EC again. Snap will go back, a high snap, and he gets this one away. A high spiraling kick. Roderick Love calls for a fair catch, falls to his backside to make it back at the 25. Well, a much better punt that time by Toten, and he did that with some pressure in his face.
Yeah, Rosario came screaming off the edge, and normally you'd rather see him downfield, but right there off the edge, almost making a huge play and flipping the field without even having to return it.
The defenses have dominated this second quarter. And look, in a 7-0 game, the defenses have both kind of had their way in this game. The one score in this contest came in a short field that the Bruins had to work with. They took over at the EC 44-yard line after the Panthers turned it over on downs. 2 plays later, Nick Barker's 21-yard touchdown rush. That's the only score of this game.
Yeah, and both defenses have faced more short fields where their backs are against the wall, and they've done a great job stepping up and bending without breaking here for the remainder of this first half since that point.
Bruins have it at their own 25-yard line. 1st down and 10. Barker drops back, looks left, throws left, caught by Connor Williams, then he dropped it. Incomplete. Trying to set up a screen. And look, when you face a defense like EC's, they've applied 33 quarterback pressures coming into tonight's game. You know they've got some ends that can really get in the face of the quarterback. Max, it seems like the Bruins have tried to negate that with a series of screens to slow them down.
Yeah, and it worked early on, but now we're seeing this EC defense adapt, and even the defensive end, Trent Merrill, wasn't even fooled there as he was able to get out there alongside Yadi Perez and a couple of those corners. So if you know the defensive linemen are reading it, you're doing a great job as a defense.
2nd and 10 upcoming. Barker sends a man in motion. It's Williams. They'll give it to Love. Love goes up the middle, and he gets dragged down at the 30-yard line. Ran into the waiting arms of Trent Morrell. They limit him to a gain of just 5, setting up 3rd down.
Well, and in his first 5 carries, he was able to stack up over 30 yards, and since then, his last 4, he's just been hovering around 10, 11 yards. So they've definitely done a better job on Roderick Love as of late.
Just over 3 minutes to go on the second quarter clock. 7-0 Padua leading EC. 3rd and 5 for Padua at their own 30-yard line. Hard snap count. Barker trying to get EC to jump. Back to pass. Throws left side. Williams makes the catch at the 35. Turns it up the field. He's knocked out of bounds along the far sideline near the 41. And the chain gang will move forward 10 yards.
Yeah, just a good job there taking what the defense is giving him. As there was a corner blitz off of the front side here closest to you on the bottom of the screen. So he attacks the other side where they're a little bit more vulnerable.
They do have a couple of timeouts to work with 2:47 to play in the second. Barker takes the snap. They'll hand it off to Love. Trying to turn the corner left side, but he's wrestled down at the 42. A flag came in just as that play was ending. For now, it's just a 2-yard pickup pending the penalty, but it's going to be a hold on Padua.
Well, Love has had most of his success running north and south, and he's had to bounce plays outside a little bit or take them to the perimeter, which he had success earlier in the season, some of the game footage that we've been able to see, but right now, EC's just stringing that out, and they're letting their athletes make plays in space.
Puts the ball back at the 30-yard line. So a 1st down and 20 scenario coming up here for Nick Barker and company. And they'll continue to wind the second quarter clock. Coming up on 2.5 minutes to play. Padua not really in much of a hurry here. They don't have to be. Barker drops back again. Delayed handoff they'll give to Love. Love takes it to the far side. He gets stood up at the 34-yard line. Well, he collided with Malachi Johnson at the 35 for a small pickup, bringing up 2nd down.
Well, that's a great stick, and as we get closer to halftime here, that's going to be crucial shortening those plays and having the first man that makes contact be able to bring him down.
They say he went down at the 29, so just a 4-yard scamper, setting up 2nd down and 16. Padua won the toss and they deferred, so they'll get the second half kickoff. Right now they're on top 7-0. And they still have a couple of timeouts to work with. Barker drops back again. EC rushing 4. He steps up. He'll run it himself. Room to run past the 50. He's to the EC 40, and he gets hit at the 35-yard line. Connor Soltis slowed him down. They'll mark him down at the 34. First down, Padua.
Well, and we talked about it before, the defensive ends being able to get upfield and make these pockets collapse. And right there, before it could collapse, Barker just takes off and once again continues to show off that he does have some scrambling in his arsenal. And, I mean, now they can afford to take their time, make sure EC doesn't get the ball before the end of the half here.
With just over a minute left in the second quarter. That was a huge pickup. Barker will send Williams in motion near side. Looks left, throws left. The pass is knocked into the air and almost intercepted. The pass was tipped into the air at the line of scrimmage, and Malachi Johnson tried to leap up and make what would have been a terrific pick.
Yeah, Merrill, we see once again reading the screen. This time not able to reverse track and get out to the point to make the tackle, but just gets his hands up. And if you're the Bruins, you might have to think about, if you run those screens, do it away from the 6'3" Trent Merrill.
That's a name that we thought we'd call all night long. We've said his name more than just a few times already.
Got that right.
2nd down and 10 for Padua at the EC 33-yard line. Williams goes in motion near side right again. Barker takes the low snap. EC rushing forward. Throws across the middle. Somehow completed that pass to the 26-yard line. And that was Christian Ruggiero who somehow hung on to that at the 26.
Yeah, solid job there in keeping them on schedule here heading into this big 3rd down.
Well, he threaded the needle, and then timeout was called for by Padua. We'll keep this one here. Want to remind you that coming up at the half, we have the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. Uninsured, enroll today with Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. We will rate the dog. We'll take a look at some first half stats. We'll give you a scoring recap, some highlights, and also see what's going on at other high school football stadiums in Lorain County and beyond. All that and much more coming your way here in just a few moments on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime report.
Well, I certainly would have thought coming into this game and this weekend as a whole, it would have been tougher to outdo last weekend, which was phenomenal here in the county, but even more great matchups happening all over Northeast Ohio.
And the playoff picture really beginning to take shape a little bit. These games start to mean just a little bit more. Padua burned their 2nd timeout a few moments ago. 1 left to work with, 43 seconds to go in the second quarter. They lead EC 7-0. It's 3rd down and 4. Nick Barker calls for the snap. He gets it. And this time it's a keeper. EC's not fooled. There were 3 green jerseys in the general vicinity. James Woolfork was in there along with Kylan Connors to take him down for a loss.
Yeah, those two, Brian Kelly piling on as well. And it appeared that Barker maybe tried to catch them by surprise by keeping that one. Roderick Love had been on the receiving end of a lot of those handoffs here as we've gone down the stretch of the second quarter. But good job staying home by that EC defense.
With 13 seconds left in the second quarter, Elyria Catholic will call for a timeout and try and see what the right call will be defensively here. Now keep in mind, EC does have one more timeout to work with. So what they may want to do here is just kind of see how Padua is going to align offensively to see if they give them a different look. And they have one last timeout to call after that if they don't like what they see.
Certainly, and it's a tricky spot to be in because with this much time left, this isn't necessarily a Hail Mary attempt from the 30. I mean, they can still get this first down and try to work closer to the end zone. So if you're Elyria Catholic, you want to be able to keep them in front of you, but not so much where you're giving up an easy first down.
They're actually setting up for a field goal. Caleb Zolkowski is 2 for 2 on his field goal attempts this year. His long is 37 yards. This one would be about 10 yards further than that. So Zolkowski trying to nail a 47-yard field goal. DeVore, the holder. He'll call for the snap. They get it down. The kick is on the way from Zolkowski. That's angling left. It's short. It's left. It's no good. So the 47-yard attempt is no good. And Elyria Catholic will get the ball with 7 seconds to go before halftime.
Well, that one, it may have had enough distance, but it just hooked too far left on him. And I can see why they put him out there. Maybe anything inside that 45, 43-yard range, he may have a chance at. So we'll see if he gets another opportunity as this game goes on. His points have been a premium so far.
Don't imagine we'll see anything too creative from EC here at their own 20-yard line with just 7 seconds to go.
And with how great their defense has been in this half, don't want to do anything to put them in a bigger hole to open the third quarter when we know the Panthers are going to have to go out there and try to stop Padua again.
Darrell Schumpert has Juels Martin off his right hip in a 4-receiver look. Back to pass. Schumpert looking down the field, fires right side, a juggling catch is made right around the 28-yard line. And he was able to get that to Latia. And that's going to bring us to the end of the first half. So halfway through this one, it's Padua 7 and Elyria Catholic nothing. And Max, you've got two offenses that like to put the ball in the air. Both teams have picked up big chunks of yardage, but still only 7 points on the board.
Yeah, they really showed a lot of potential of moving the ball, and they just haven't been able to do it for the length of the field. These defenses have done a good job adapting, whether that's to the run game or just keeping everything in front of them downfield and not surrendering any backbreaking plays in the passing game.
Well, lots to talk about coming up here in just a few moments on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. We mentioned we'll take a look at some scores from across the area. We'll get you a scoring recap, although that'll be pretty brief. We'll look at some highlights in this one, and Max will take a look at some first half stats as well. We also have to rate the dog. We'll do that here at Dan Reeser Stadium in just a few moments, but first a timeout at the half. It's Padua 7, Elyria Catholic nothing on the Lorain County Sports Network. Enjoying the sounds of the Padua Marching Band at halftime here at Dan Reeser Stadium at Elyria Catholic High School. This is the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. Uninsured, enroll today with Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. So happy to have all of you with us tonight on the Lorain County Sports Network. Andy Bolbarch joined alongside Max Drummond. Our director is Edwin Vereen, and Sam Sovacool working the camera tonight. And Max, before we get into the stats and the scoring recap, just some of your general thoughts on what you've seen so far in this one. Both teams certainly have the ability to put up a lot of points very clearly with a 7-0 score. We haven't seen a whole lot of that here tonight.
You know, it hasn't been reflected on the scoreboard very much, but these are two teams more than capable of hitting big plays, and we've seen them have a bit of success with checkdowns and dinking and dunking, if you will, but it'll be interesting to see who can kind of sustain their running attack. I think that's what's kind of helped Padua hold on there. Even though these drives haven't finished in points, they've taken a lot of time up, and it's also very taxing on a defense as the game goes on, whereas Elyria Catholic, they, outside of a few plays here and there, haven't been able to get much going on the ground. So I think that may be our key moving into the second half.
I like that little teaser. We'll revisit some of those keys as we get towards the end of this Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. But one of the things you pointed out a little bit earlier, you know, to try and somehow negate that Elyria Catholic pass rush, the obvious thing to do is kind of throw some screens, right, and try and slow that down a bit. And that seemed to work for a while. But the last few drives for Padua, that EC defense has been able to sniff out some of those screens, and you wonder if that's something Padua will continue to go to or maybe try and adjust to in the second half.
Yeah, for the Bruins, it has to be troubling because, one, those are getting shut down and those are getting sniffed out before they can even develop, but also EC's defensive line is causing a lot of pressure, and so their downfield attack really hasn't been as effective, even throwing an interception at one point. So they've been able to find success in that intermediate game, but I don't know how long that'll be able to buy them, because that's what's been able to not allow these drives to continue. There's no shock plays over the top, and it kind of has been getting them behind the chains. They've been bailed out by Roderick Love at times, though, which has helped them, and it'll be interesting to see if they try to get him more involved in the passing game. I know we saw him catch one pass in the first quarter, so could be useful there in the second half.
Well, let's take a look at what went down in the opening half. We mentioned it's just 7-0. Here's how things transpired early on. Elyria Catholic had the ball to open things up. They were able to get the ball inside Padua territory, and then they kind of got pushed back a little bit, and they ended up turning the ball over on downs, and they turned it over on their side of the field. They gave it to Padua at their own 44-yard line. Padua needed just 2 plays to go 44 yards, and they capped that short drive on a 21-yard touchdown rush with the quarterback, Nick Barker. Important to note, though, EC was able to get back into Padua territory several times on the night. They actually got the ball all the way down to the Padua 1 on their second drive of the game that started at their own 20, but they just couldn't punch it in as they were stopped short inside the 1-yard line, and that was as close as Elyria Catholic could get to scoring in the opening half. But there were a couple of interesting things that transpired between then and the end of the half. Connor Petrus with a big interception. That happened inside the 15-yard line of Padua, but nothing came of that. They forced EC to punt it away, and Padua had great field position as a result of a short punt at their own 45, but EC's defense stood strong again, and they were able to force Padua to punt it away one more time. One last chance for Padua to potentially put some points on the board at the very end of the half. A missed 47-yard field goal attempt by Caleb Zolkowski, and that's why we are still at 7-0 here at halftime. And with that, I will hand the baton off to my tag team partner, Max Drummond, for our stats of tonight's game, brought to you by Al Januzzi, CPA.
Well, we talked a bit there about the rushing attack for each side, so that's where we'll start. And you look at Padua, they've been able to get it pretty effective there. 12 carries, 104 yards, and that's good for an average of around 8 a carry. But I will say most of that is carried by Nick Barker with some of his big runs there in the one in the opening quarter and then one near halftime, as they were able to step up and limit Roderick Love a little bit more as the second quarter continued to wind on. And then looking at Barker through the air, where we expected him to do most of his damage, 6 of 11, 89 yards, does have the 1 interception. But his top receiver, definitely Riley Cervenka, with 2 catches for 44 yards, and they've come out to 193 yards of total offense there. And then looking over at Elyria Catholic, we expected Darrell Schumpert to have his way a little bit. 9 of 12, 100 yards, and he's kept the ball pretty safe for them and not allowed them to be backed up even worse on any long sacks or turnovers himself. But that running game, they're certainly missing Zion Castillo tonight. As on that 1 yard line I'm sure they would have loved to have him at their disposal. The freshman Joels Martin in his place has made some plays. He's done what he can, but he's dealt with a lot of guys in the backfield in front of him. Just 11 carries, 30 yards. So we'll see if they continue to try to get him involved. And then those receivers, we talked about him a lot pregame. Got Xavier Castillo, 1 catch, 41 yards, big play. Got to get back and get him involved. And then Connor Peaches, 3 catches for 25 yards on the night. So they come out to 130 yards of offense. And both teams have run similar amounts of plays. So obviously a little bit more per play by the Bruins.
Again, stats tonight brought to you by Al Januzzi CPA. It's all about the numbers. That's Al Januzzi CPA. Let's take a timeout here on our Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. When we come back, we will rate the dog and also take a look at some scores from across the area as well. Your score here at Dan Reeser Stadium at Elyria Catholic High School, Padua 7, Elyria Catholic nothing on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back out to Dan Reeser Stadium at Elyria Catholic High School. At the half, Padua 7 and Elyria Catholic nothing. It's the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show uninsured? Enroll today with Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. Andy Bolbarch joined alongside Max Drummond. The captain of our ship is Edwin Vereen, and Sam Silvacool is working the camera tonight. We'll get to some scores from across the area in just a moment, but for now, it's time to Rate the Dog, brought to you by Brian Victor of Howard Hanna. Brian says, enjoy the game. Well, we're enjoying the game, and before the game, we enjoyed a couple of dogs, and it was pretty impressive how they came up with a couple of different plastic containers of ketchup and mustard, a wonderful display. Now, you guys rate this on a scale of 5, correct?
Yes.
I mean, I think based on presentation, they get like a 6.5. They also brought it up here pregame. That's never happened before, and it was outstanding because we actually got the chance to enjoy it and digest it as opposed to just kind of shoveling it down at halftime during the commercial break. So based on presentation alone, I would give it more than just a 5 based on the actual quality of the dog. I know you guys a lot of times will go between 4, 4.5. I mean, this is right up there with the rest of the dogs we've had this year. Edwin Vereen made the comment, and I totally agree. You could taste the char on that sucker. It was fantastic, so I'm going 4.5 at least.
I'm right there with you. I'm going to come in at a 4.3. 4.3 felt right for me, and I can guarantee and confirm it. So not only did they taste that way when we were up top setting things up, we could see the smoke coming off of the grill they were working with, and it just smelled great. And I was like, man, that's tempting me a little too early. And then they came up here early, so it actually ended up working out really well. So a big shout out to the Panthers concession stand and taking care of us tonight.
Yeah, and look, anytime you come to EC, you know you're going to get taken care of. Athletic director Jim Piazza, just a wonderful individual, just a fantastic human being. He gets to drive that golf cart around. He actually allowed us to come up here in that golf cart. He picked us up at the gate, drove us around, and helped us get the equipment up here. So a big thanks to Coach Piazza and company for hosting us here. We always enjoy coming out to EC, not just for football games, but for all sporting events. All right, 5 minutes to go before they expire that halftime clock here on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. Again, a big thanks to Brian Victor of Howard Hanna for our Rate the Dog. Brian says, enjoy the game. Well, let's enjoy some halftime scores from across the area. You and I have seen Midview twice, my friend, so this score isn't really a shock to you and I, but I think it's a surprise to some. Coming off of that gut-wrenching loss against Amherst last week, Midview's taking it out on Avon Lake. They lead the Shoremen 14-3. You want to show people that you've arrived? That's one way of doing it, taking down a team that's typically at the top of the SWC standings. North Ridgeville with an opportunity to do that, but things aren't going their way so far as Avon leads North Ridgeville 17-0. Olmsted Falls beating up on Elyria 35-0. And Amherst trying to show everyone that that 4-0 start is no fluke. And right now they lead Berea Mid-Park 27-20. So it's been pretty fascinating to watch that game transpire. An update on that Avon game, 24-0. Avon now leads North Ridgeville. Taking a look at the LC8, Keystone and Columbia are at the half. They're deadlocked at 7 apiece. Clearview leads Oberlin 14-0. No score in that Wellington-Brookside game just yet. Firelands looking for their first win of the season. They're on top of Black River 19-8. Willoughby South has a 14-7 lead on Lorraine. And finally, it's Sandusky leading Vermilion 10-7. At the half here, it's Padua 7 and Elyria Catholic 0 halfway through this one. Let's take one more timeout here on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. When we come back, we will revisit some of those keys to the game and apply them to the second half of action. And we'll see if both teams are just about ready to come back out onto the field and kick things off for the second half right after this. It's 7-0, Padua leading EC on the Lorain County Sports Network. It's a 7-0 halftime lead for Padua over Elyria Catholic at Dan Reeser Stadium at Elyria Catholic High School. Andy Bolbarch, Max Drummond with you, Edwin Vereen, our director, Sam Sovacol working the camera, putting the finishing touches on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. Well, coming up when the game is over, we invite you to join Dave Grenczynski, Paul Williams, and Maria Janasco for the I-90 Nissan at Sheffield Village postgame show, because the deals are so good and because the interviews are so good as well. If you haven't checked out the postgame show yet, you're missing out. So we urge you to tune in to WDLW and WOBO at the conclusion of tonight's game, where Dave, Paul, and Maria will give you all the updates that you need here in Week 5 of the high school football season. They'll talk to some of the game-winning coaches, players, and also read off all of the scores as well and get you set for the final moments of Week 5, which, believe it or not, marks the halfway point of this high school football season. We are just cruising right along. Max, let's shout out some of our sponsors here before we get things going here in the second half.
Let's do it. I mean, like you said, 5 weeks in now. And it wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't be out here and be in these stadiums every Friday night if it wasn't for some of these great companies and organizations, such as Richard Ramsey for Judge. Vote Ramsey for Judge. Rich Resendez for Sheriff. And on November 5th, we've also got our official barbecue of Lorain County Friday Night Lights, Jones Bones Barbecue in Grubb. It's smoking good barbecue over in Eaton, or some of the patrons there consider it the edge of Grafton. Either way, over on Route 83. You can't miss it. Fantastic. You'll probably smell it as you're coming up. Also, we've got our Zabo Apparel Player of the Game, which that's pretty undecided at the moment, and that's by Zabo Apparel Company, so we'll talk about that as the game goes on. Also, another great sponsor, Lorain County Commissioner David Moore, also Jack Hall for Sheriff, Kelly Dieter for State Rep, Giovanna Scaletta-Bremke for Judge, and Elyria Jewelers and Repair, treating customers like family.
Want to make sure that you stay tuned to the Golden Helmet Award Watch all season long, thanks to Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford. Shop ElyriaFord.com. That's ElyriaFord.com. Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford. You know, we have a lot of awards to give out at the end of each broadcast, and usually by halftime we at least have an idea. I don't really know who we're going to give some of these awards to right now, Max. I mean, we have a couple of candidates for the Ernie's Auto Body Collision of the Game. Believe it or not, there aren't many right now for the Valley Chevrolet Drive of the Game. And you mentioned the Zabo Apparel Company Player of the Game. Lots of candidates there. Speaking of Zabo Apparel Company, the Four Horsemen finally got the chance to dress alike with our brand new gear, with our dry fit shirts on. Really awesome stuff. We've got hoodies to wear when things really cool off here in a couple of weeks. We're at that time now where we don't really know what to expect on Friday night. We got here, it was kind of warm. Now that the sun's gone down, things are a little bit cooler, so I feel like we should probably just bring both from here on out.
That's right, Zabo Apparel, making sure we're prepared for all different things weather's going to throw at us here in Ohio, and there's also hats on the way, so we're going to be wearing those as well, looking very stylish thanks to them.
Outstanding stuff, man. Well, if you have a haircut like mine, you kind of need a hat. You know, once I got to a certain age, I knew that I wasn't going to have a whole lot going on up there, so I figured I could cover it up by wearing a hat. So I'm looking forward to wearing that stylish hat, man. Hopefully we get those sometime soon.
Yep, I'll have that on your seat next week. I can promise you that, Bull.
Outstanding. Well, be game day ready all year long with Zabo Apparel Company. We're game day ready every Friday night, thanks to Zabo Apparel Company. Don't forget about that Friday night recap as well, brought to you by Network Land Title Agency, safeguarding your investment and ensuring peace of mind. That's Network Land Title Agency. All right, Max, let's revisit some of our keys to tonight's game and apply them to the second half. Keys are brought to you by the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Lorain County.
Well, when we look back at the beginning of the game, and for Elyria Catholic, it was about maintaining your momentum, not getting too high, not getting too low, and they've certainly done that. Now, they haven't been able to capture a lead yet, but their defense has certainly not overreacted or not gotten down on themselves in situations where they're backed up or their backs are against the wall. So they've done a good job of maintaining an even composure level, and they got to continue that here, because the second half it's just going to get even tighter, a little bit more intense as it goes on. And they've been able to force a turnover off Nick Barker, who had a couple issues with that last week. And now over for Padua, that running game, they got a boost from finally getting Roderick Love back, and it really was on display, but then it kind of teetered off there at the end of the second quarter, so we'll see if they can get him back involved, especially with getting the ball to open this third quarter.
I'm anxious to see what Padua does offensively. We talked about using those screens to slow down that pass rush of Elyria Catholic, but EC really seemed to have a pretty good finger on the pulse of that screen game at the end of that first half. So I'm anxious to see if they continue to go that route, and if so, will EC continue to sniff it out. And then for Elyria Catholic offensively, if that running game isn't going, I don't know that you can totally ditch it altogether, but they've got to start trying to get the ball into the hands of their playmakers like Xavier Castillo and Connor Petrus. They did that a little bit towards the end of that first half, but clearly they need a lot more of that.
They definitely do, and it could go a long way in sustaining these drives. And they just got to do what they can to stay ahead of schedule, not get behind with penalties and things that they can control. That's something Coach Ferris talked about with media at the end of last week's loss, is just being able to control the things that they can control. It's very simple, and it's a cliche almost, but the thing is, it really applies, and it would have given them a lot more opportunities there in that first half.
O'Connell with the kickoff. It sends Love back to his own 1 yard line, brings it up past the 10, he's to the 15, spins out of a tackle, gets out to about the 25 yard line where he falls to the turf after a pretty nice return. Well, not a good sign for Padua as Riley Cervenka kind of limps away at the end of that play. That's one of their playmakers on offense.
Yeah, and he's been pretty effective tonight. 2 catches, 44 yards, leading receiver over there for the Bruins. And it looks like he's going to stay out there and tough his way through it, but that means other guys like Ruggiero and Connor Williams are going to have to step up and help him out a little bit.
Opening drive and opening snap of each half brought to you by Janasco Insurance, the protection you need and the service you deserve. That's Janasco Insurance. We'll hand off to Love. Love tries to scoot his way through the middle, but the DC front four says, If he gained anything, he maybe picked up a yard on that. From here, it looked like he got back to the original line of scrimmage, but no more.
Yeah, a lot more tough sledding on that play than on the previous kickoff return where he was able to spin out of a couple of tackles. And I was curious if they would try to go right back at him after he was used on the kickoff return. And now 2nd and long, can't imagine they'll go back to him a 3rd time in a row here.
He's off the right hip of Barker, who's got a couple of receivers on the near side to work with. They load up the right side of that offensive line. They do give to Love. Tries to turn the corner left side, turns it up to the 30-yard line where he collides with Joey Schill, and he's dropped about the 31-yard line. Connor Soltis also in on that stop.
I stand corrected. They are more than willing to use him as the workhorse in his first week back. And right there, we see Bo Barney, who's been used a couple times downfield in an athletic role by pulling as he led the way. And this is certainly a 3rd and manageable for this offense.
A bit of a change in personnel here. And now they look toward that far sideline on 3rd down and 5. 2 receivers near side left. They've got a pair lined up far side of the right. Love again, the tailback in this 3rd down scenario. Barker drops back, surveying the field, dumps it across the middle, incomplete, looking for Love. We've got a flag thrown by the official on the near side. He threw that flag from the 35 in the area of the 27. It's a hold going against Padua, and you have to imagine that's going to be declined.
And the almost undersized Kylan Connors did a good job getting around or trying to go through Hamadi, forcing the hold here.
And that has been declined because the result of the play was an incomplete pass, setting up 4th down, and Padua will bring their punting unit onto the field.
And that's a couple times now that we've seen their quarterback there, Barker, have to be able to hold the ball a little bit longer than he'd like, and instead of trying to throw it deep down the field, he goes for the check down and still just out of reach of Love.
Zolkowski inside his own 20 to punt it away. Petrus back inside his own 30. Zolkowski gets a nice punt away. Petrus lets it bounce at the 30. This is angling toward the far side. It goes inside the 20 to about the 19 where it goes out. That's a real nice punt by Zolkowski, not only to get EC pinned inside their own 20, but Maxey also kept that away from Connor Petrus.
Certainly did, and I mean, the way that he was just able to line drive and lead it right into a bounce, I mean, that was almost too hot to handle. And Petrus chooses to just stay away from it. And we actually have seen some of their best work come when they're working from inside their own 25. They've had good field position at times, but haven't been able to make anything of it from time to time. But one of their attempts that started close to the 25-yard line, in a touchback, they were able to drive almost the length of the field.
1st and 10 at their own 19. That's where this Elyria Catholic offense takes over. Down 7-0. Not quite 2 minutes into this third quarter. Darrell Shumpert will have Juels Martin with him in the backfield in a 4-receiver formation. Drops back, looks left, throws left. The pass is hauled in along the far sideline by Xavier Castillo at about the 22. So a short pickup of just about 3 yards, but Max, I think they're trying to get the ball into the hands of one of their playmakers.
Yeah, and for Castillo, that's only his second catch of the night. He's been targeted a little bit more than that, but right there they just take advantage of a man coverage that had close to a 7-8 yard cushion, and once again, they're giving Castillo some space here off the line.
2nd down and 7. They fired this one right side, incomplete. And he was looking for Connor Latia. Coverage was pretty tight there. That may have been thrown a tad bit behind him. And the incompletion sets up 3rd down.
Well, and even with the incomplete and the pass being off schedule, it almost works in their benefit. Connor Williams, like you said, applying great coverage, and he almost jumped that route. So almost works out better here, but still it means a 3rd down and long.
3rd and 7 for Elyria Catholic at their own 22. Pressure coming. Shumpert steps up, fires across the middle. The pass is tipped away, incomplete. It looked like Brady DeVore, who was able to, I should say that wasn't Brady DeVore, that was actually Ethan Bidet, who got his hands on that one and knock it down. There's a flag against Elyria Catholic. Looked like it's going to be holding. More than likely that's going to be declined. And actually, hold on. The official gave us the indication it was enforced. Now he goes back and he says it was declined. That would make a lot more sense. Can't imagine why he would take that, knowing that 4th and 7 is coming up.
Well, in that Padua defense, they play with almost 6 linebackers and safeties on the field at each play. And right there, they all just kind of set up around that 30-yard line, and it led to a very congested pattern downfield, leading to the nearly intercepted pass.
Kai Toten ready to punt this away. Takes the high snap, gets this one off. A nice booming kick. That'll bounce inside the 40. Bounces past Roderick Love. The question is, did he touch that? And it's picked up by EC at about the 19-yard line. The officials say he did not touch it. That ball got to the turf and it skipped pretty quickly. And for a moment, we weren't sure if Love touched that or not, but that's a great punt because that puts the ball on the other side of the field at the Padua 20-yard line, so EC's able to flip it.
Certainly a close call, and now we've seen both punters here open their respective drives with not to handle too much on it, a little too much mustard on it on these punts for these returners right now, and it's certainly done a great job setting these offenses back inside the 20.
The last drive for Padua resulted in a 3-and-out. Nick Barker will hand it off to Roderick Love. Has some room to run up the middle, and he's tackled at about the 28-yard line. Looked like the defensive end, Kylan Connors, one of the ones that catch up to him after a pickup of just about 7 yards.
Well, that's a tough formation to adjust to if you're Elyria Catholic. Normal left tackle, Brandon Hamadi lined up in the wing there, pulled around, leading the way. If you're a linebacker, I mean, it's bad enough seeing him come out of the stance. Imagine him with a running start. 6'4", 280 coming at you.
Well, this is certainly a different look than what we saw from Padua in the opening half, so they're definitely changing things up here. With the extra offensive lineman, they'll pitch it left side. Love has room, turns the corner left side, but he's tackled right around the 33-yard line. That was Mikey Bates who got to him. Now, he didn't stop him from getting a first down, but Max, if Love turns the corner completely and gets in open space, he might still be running.
Well, we've seen a little bit of that speed on display tonight, but that EC defense has done a good job stepping up at those points of attack and shutting those plays down before they can become more dangerous.
And we have Mikey Bates down on the field right around the 36-yard line. We will step aside to take this injury timeout as well. Padua 7, Elyria Catholic nothing. 8:18 to play in the third quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. First down and 10 for Padua coming out of the injury timeout. Roderick Love picked up the first down just a few moments ago. They've called his number on back-to-back plays on this drive. They'll keep an extra lineman in again. They'll throw it out to Love. A swing pass to him, and he gets hit, spins off the tackle, gets out in open space on the far sideline. He's off to the races down the far sideline. And he's twisted out of bounds inside EC territory near the 35 of the Panthers for a first down.
Well, right when you think you have the play bottled up and you think you've figured out Roderick Love, it seemed like in this opening short part of the third quarter he just puts on the burners and almost left everybody behind. Good job there by EC being able to catch him, but just got to make those first contact tackles.
Well, you're right. Looked like he was contained for a loss, but then somehow spun out of that tackle, picked up 32 yards. It's the biggest play we've seen of the second half so far.
And even though it looked like a pass, going to chalk that up as a run. So unfortunately, Barker won't get any of the credit there, but great job by Love.
Connor Williams in motion, near side left. They'll throw it out to him. He bobbles it, can't come up with it. It falls incomplete.
And that time it appeared that style of screen where they used the motion man as the receiving option, it looked open. I mean, Ruggiero had his man locked up there around the line of scrimmage, and he had room to work after the catch.
Second down and 10 for Padua. Roderick Love has been called on a lot here their first couple of drives. We expect that to continue. They'll send a man in motion. It's the left tackle, Brandon Holman. He's been kind of been used in the wing here. They'll give it to Love again. Love twisted down at the 35-yard line. And coming off the edge was the safety, Donovan Schumpert, to wrap his legs up and limit him to a gain of 1.
And a good job there by the secondary, because everybody has to be involved in these tackles right now, and especially the better athletes, to try to corral him, as we just saw what he can do once he hits open space. So good job there.
Third down and 9, and at this spot in the field, Max, you certainly think this is going to be 4-down territory for Padua if they don't pick this up.
Well, they've been very aggressive tonight, and I think that just points to how much faith they have in an experienced starter like Nick Barker, as he's been able to kind of navigate a lot of these different situations.
Lots of moving parts in this backfield. Seems like there's a lot of confusion for Padua, and as a result, head coach Kevin Kubit will call for a timeout. And a good spot to call that, Max, simply because it just didn't seem like everybody was on the same page. And while it might be 4-down territory for Padua, you want to make sure you've got everybody aligned properly before you run a play like this, because it's a lot different going forward on 4th and 3 or 4th and 5 as opposed to going forward on 4th and 9 and 4th and 10.
Well, we've got that right. And the play clock, it did appear, was winding down on them as well. So even if they had gotten it off, like you said, the whole thing was going to be rushed, and you might not have had guys on the same page. And it's, you know, they hold the lead they have for most of this game here at 7-0, but we're just about halfway through the third quarter, and this is the first real instance we've seen either offense kind of get their act together, if you will, in this third quarter of play. So they definitely want to come away with something here.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I think on top of everything else, they know they really have a chance to not necessarily go for the kill here, but you get points on the board on this particular drive, I think that goes a long, long ways, since EC's had such a tough time moving the ball on offense. 3rd and 9 coming up. There's movement on that right side of the Elyria Catholic defensive line. And that's a tough one to take for Elyria Catholic, because now it's 3rd down and 4.
Well, we've seen those hard counts both go both ways tonight. And now for Padua, that means Roderick Love becomes probably a part of this play call in some way.
Tough to dispute that. 3rd down and 4. Pressure coming. Barker throws across the middle. The pass falls incomplete. Well, they were trying to set up a screen to Roderick Love, but EC applied so much pressure. And there was also a couple of defenders in the area that almost looked like it hit somebody on its way toward Love.
It may have, and I mean, I think Love was trying to be nonchalant about it. He stepped up like he was going to block, turns around, he just walked backwards, didn't even have much urgency getting out of there, and it gave EC a lot of time, especially the linebacker, Joey Schill, to get up there and shut that play down, and he didn't even need to because of the pressure that forced an incomplete pass.
Chase Weiser has come into the game as the tailback here, and they're going to put Roderick Love out in the slot on the right side. 4th down and 4 rather. As we thought, this is 4-down territory for Padua. Barker drops back, throws this one deep down the near side, looking for DeVore. The pass falls incomplete, but flags come flying in. There was a lot of contact for EC on that near side. Legs got tangled up. DeVore had a step on his defender, but this is going to be pass interference against Elyria Catholic, and that will make this 4th down conversion a good one for Padua.
And it looked like Barker knew where he was going to go the moment that ball was snapped. And unfortunately for Mikey Bates, for most of the route, he was alongside his counterpart DeVore. But like you mentioned, right around that 5-yard line is when the separation began to happen, and he was refusing to allow a touchdown in that situation.
It's actually not even an automatic first down in high school, but that yardage is enough to give Padua a first down.
So this will put Padua inside the red zone. Brought to you by Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services. Selling or buying your next home? Visit superstevesells.com. Ball placed at the 15. They'll pitch this to Love. Love running toward the right side. He gets bumped and dropped at the 20-yard line. It was Kylan Connors who didn't allow him to turn the corner. They'll stop him for a loss of 2.
And on both sides of the defensive line, they've had some pretty impact plays from those ends. I mean, he just did a good job stringing that one out and fighting across the face of that offensive lineman, which even more impressive because Love looked like he was in full speed when he caught that ball.
Well, they're trying to get creative with Love, shifting him around and making it tougher for EC to keep tabs on him. This time they'll line him up in the backfield, which is where he's used to being. And they'll give it to him. He has room to run up the middle, zigs his way past the 5-yard line and into the end zone. Touchdown. A 17-yard touchdown rush for Roderick Love, and that will give Padua a 13-0 advantage with 5:42 to play in the 3rd quarter.
Well, and you alluded to it. That's his comfort zone, and he's like, finally, just something straight ahead, north and south. That offensive line did a great job paving the way at that first level, and you see at the end of that run, making a man miss with that violent jump cut and just waltzing his way into the end zone there.
It's Caleb Zolkowski on for the point after attempt to try and make it 14-0 Bruins. DeVore puts the hold down. The extra point has plenty of distance, and it is good. Padua 14, Elyria Catholic nothing with 5:42 left in the 3rd on the Lorain County Sports Network. It was an 80-play drive for Padua, and they were able to finish it with a 17-yard touchdown rush from Roderick Love to make it 14-0. That's the early leader in the clubhouse for our drive of the game, brought to you by Valley Chevrolet. Keep on driving with Valley Chevrolet in Wellington and Huron. He's Max Drummond. I'm Andy Bolbarch. Bruins lead Elyria Catholic 14-0 in this one. Just over 5.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And that last drive was a pretty big one, Max. It didn't take a ton of time off the clock, but it now makes this a 2-score game.
There's a real statement there. I mean, they had a couple of plays where they tried to go through the air, but you talked about it in that drive. They came out with a couple different formations, a couple extra linemen and potential tight ends or fullbacks, however they refer to them over there for Padua, and they just really let Roderick Love go to work. They tried to, in a way, get cute with it and go a couple different routes, but once they ran right at them, that was their most effective throughout that drive.
And somebody came across the line early for Padua. That's the second time that's happened tonight. So Caleb Zolkowski will have to kick it away again.
And I'm sure both coaches after this game will talk about how they want to see a cleaner game out there. There's been a couple detrimental penalties for both sides, and then just a couple procedural ones like this. Then week 5 you want to see cleaned up at this point. So I'm sure they will certainly continue to work at that here as the conference slate continues on.
Zolkowski will tee it up one more time. This time it'll be at the 35. Connor Petrus back there along with Xavier Castillo to return this one. Zolkowski will kick it away high, end over end. Petrus comes up to about the 12 to retrieve it. Going to take it toward the middle of the field. He's able to get past the 30, finds a seam, angles to the near sideline, off to the races to the 40. He's to the Padua 35, bumped out of bounds at the end of the play. And an official wore the worst of that. And it looked like he had his legs taken out from underneath him. Oh, and that poor official looks like he's in some pretty rough pain there on the near sideline. So they're going to need some extra time to take a look at this. There is also an injured Padua Bruin on the play too. So we will step aside and take an injury timeout and come back with more in just a moment. 5:31 to go, third quarter. Padua 14, Elyria Catholic nothing on the Lorain County Sports Network. We welcome you back out to Dan Reeser Stadium at Elyria Catholic High School, where we have an extended timeout here. One of our officials got hit at the very end of that last play, which was a long kickoff return by Connor Petrus, and the official was just on the ground writhing in pain, just kind of pounding the turf after he went down. Looked like a pretty rough injury, and right now they've got the ambulance out here, and they're getting ready to take him away. Max, this is always a tough sight to see.
Certainly is, as he's doing his best to keep up with the play. And obviously at any level it's tough to react, especially when these players are moving as fast as they are. So certainly our best thoughts and wishes are with him at this moment.
Yeah, as Max mentioned, we certainly send our best to him as they're trying to get this situation organized. And tip of the old cap to the entire operation staff here at Elyria Catholic. They were all over it. They had an ambulance out here immediately, got both teams to step aside and create some space to make it so that the paramedics could get out here and tend to the injured official. And you can hear the round of applause from the classy crowd here at Dan Reeser Stadium as they lift the official up and they get ready to put him into the ambulance. And now, we can see some of the players just kind of moving around and going through some of their typical warm-ups, just trying to stay loose, because after an extended break like this, that's always tough to do. And, the game just kind of seems like it's in the background at this point because everybody's so concerned with what's going on with the official who got injured. But to take a look back at the game for a second here, Max, now for Elyria Catholic, they had some momentum after that kickoff, but that's been negated to some degree because they've been sitting around for a while as they continue to attend to the injured official who's been carted off into the ambulance.
That's right. The time buffer there, it certainly creates a pause in the big play that they just made. And for both offense and defense, both teams out there right now, it gives them more time to even think about this upcoming drive, which can be a positive or a negative, depends on how you handle it here. For the offensive staff of EC, I'm sure that they've been trying to draw something up here. Obviously no points on the board yet, but we've talked about some good field position. This is easily the best that they've had to work with and might have to work with for the rest of the night. So certainly expect them to take full advantage here and pull out all the stops as we're just under halfway through this third quarter.
The EC offense looked like it was ready to come back, and then Coach Ferris just kind of looked back at him and said, nope, back to the sideline. And Coach Ferris was really in the middle of it with the official down there too, making sure that he had everything he needed, and the entire officiating crew was surrounding him as well. And again, they're trying to get things going again, but again, they can't do that until they get the ambulance off the field. So it's going to be a couple more minutes before I think we get things going again here. And that Padua defense has gotten back onto the field, chomping at the bit, and for a unit that's had the success that they've had so far tonight, Max, who could blame them? I mean, anytime it looks like EC's got something going on offense, Padua just finds a way to halt it.
You're absolutely right. They've been able to step up with, first in the running game, they've been able to shut down anything that EC's tried to set up there. As leading rusher on the night, Juels Martin is just averaging around 2.7 yards a carry, so he hasn't been able to get much going, and they've had to put a lot more on the arm of Darrell Schumpert. And at times he's been able to step up, but when they know it's going to be a pass, when they're able to send those extra linebackers, it's really a luxury for that defense, and they've been able to keep a lot of those plays in front of them.
And now the athletic director, Jim Piazza, is out there talking to the officials at the 30-yard line. And he was talking with Coach Ferris for a moment just before he walked out there. So I'm not exactly sure what they're discussing here. But it sure looked like Coach Ferris wanted an answer on something, and I think they kind of want an idea as to when they're going to be able to get going again, because they want to relay that back to the kids also so they can figure out what they want to do in order to kind of stay loose.
Sure, and get that extra clarification in. Now, it also could be an aspect of how the officials are going to handle this game moving forward. There is a fifth official out there now, so at first we believe there may have been only 4 after that, but they do have a total of 5 on the field now with both line judges and 2 on the defensive end, 1 in the back end here on the offensive side of the ball.
1st and 10 for EC at the Padua 30. Bruins showing blitz. Darrell Shumpert wants the snap. He gets it. Gives to Juels Martin, but he is torn down right away. Ran right into Nick Kelly, who's been all over the place tonight. That'll be a loss of 1.
Well, in coming out of that timeout, that extended timeout there, the Padua defense didn't hesitate at all to be aggressive, and he came in right off the edge there, shutting down that play before it had any chance to get going.
Martin off the left side of Shumpert. 4 receivers to work with. They're down 14-0. Martin in motion to the left. Shumpert fires left side, has a man wide open. It's Petrus. Petrus shifts course, goes to the near side, steps out of a tackle at the 10. He's bumped out of bounds near the 7-yard line, setting up Elyria Catholic 1st and goal. But there is a flag back at the 19-yard line. And there is an injured player down in the field. And that looks like Brady DeVore, who's slow to get up. And now the officials will have to talk about this penalty that was thrown close to the area where he sprung loose there and picked up about 10 extra yards.
Yeah, Petrus showing off the run after the catch ability as he turns an 11-yard play into nearly a touchdown, but possibly would help spring him loose. I'm not sure. Maybe we had a block without the defender being able to see them coming. I know formerly known as a blindside block, back block, so maybe that could have been in play here. We'll have to wait and see what the officials come up with.
It's an illegal blindside block, just as you called it. You were all over that, Max. Well done. And that would have been close to a 23-yard pickup, but now because of the penalty, everything changes. And what was a 1st and goal situation will now turn in to 2nd down and 12. And they're going to continue to take a look at Brady DeVore. Now, he's kind of sitting up at the 16-yard line, which is a good sight, but they may need some extra time to examine him here. It's been a rough last 5 or 10 minutes here at Dan Reeser Stadium. And you would expect that in a 7-0 game at halftime, and now a 14-0 game here with 4:50 to play in the 3rd quarter. Lots of hard hits, and that can certainly have an effect on you. And now Brady DeVore, thankfully, is back up to his feet. And he's going to need a little bit of assistance to get to that far sideline.
And so obviously for Elyria Catholic, the penalty yardage alone there can set you back, but also just not being able to formulate a rhythm, not allowing these offensive linemen to get used to setting up their blocks here in immediate time. And the receivers, I mean, that was a perfect example of Petrus feeling out that secondary and finding a great spot to sit down in. And now the further apart these plays are, the harder it is to continuously do that.
So it's 2nd down and 12 after the penalty. EC down 14-0 here in the 3rd. Padua showed some pressure, then backed off. Now they'll bring it again. Shumpert's going to run. He'll take it past the 30, down the far sideline. He's able to step out inside the 25, close to the 22.
Well, we don't see him use his legs too often, but right there he had no choice. There was no pocket to step up into with some of the delayed blitzing going on, and he did a good job knowing that a lot of those routes were extending down the field.
They'll mark him out at the 23. So he picked up close to 10 on that. It'll be 3rd down and 3. Shumpert will give to Martin. Martin fights forward up to maybe the 22, but just didn't have any room to run. It's been a tough battle for EC to try and win up front against that Padua defensive line. And now it'll be 4th down and 2. The offense stays on the field.
You're exactly right about the tough sledding up there. I mean, even on a 3rd and 3, it almost felt like that had to be a passing situation because of the lack of push they've been getting up front.
They'll send this snap back from the 22-yard line. 4th down coming up for EC. Shumpert looks right, throws right. He's got a man wide open at about the 16-yard line, and that'll be enough to move the sticks.
And it's a great job there as He originally, it looked like he was looking for his receiver Ramos on the slant, but instead checks it to the flat and does a good job converting there on 4th down.
Back to the line quickly. They'll give this one to Martin. He takes it up the middle, spins off of one man and gets inside the 10. And they'll call that a pickup of just about 6 yards as they are inside that red zone again. Brought to you by Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services.
Well, it has seemed the running game has been at its most effective when they're able to set it up off of some hurry-up offense and after a nice conversion in the passing game and kind of catch that Bruins defense off guard.
It was Jazeer Terry on the 4th down reception. Play action fake. They'll throw near side right. The pass falls incomplete. He was looking for Connor Latia on the corner of the end zone. But the incompletion will bring up 3rd down and 4.
Well, and I can certainly understand wanting some end zone shots here. You got great receivers to throw to out there. And still an extra down here on 3rd down before that end zone is they're just outside of that 1st and goal range.
Padua showing pressure, and then Shumpert stopped to look to the near side to get the instructions from his coaching staff. Sizable 3rd down opportunity coming up here for EC. Shumpert surveying the scene, claps for the snap, he gets it. They give to Jules Martin again. He'll fight forward to the 7. He's really close, although from here it looks like he might be a little bit short. This looks like it might be close enough to call for the chain gang, but they're going to say it's 4th down and 1. Shumpert takes the snap. And the ball's on the turf at the 10-yard line. Padua jumps on it. And even if they hadn't, it wouldn't have mattered because that was a 4th down scenario anyway. And Max, that just looked like it was one of those plays where maybe Shumpert tried to pull it because he saw the defense was in the face of Martin. And as a result, they lose the ball. So Ethan Bidet recovers the loose ball. Although there is a flag on the play. It's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty going against Padua. So that's a tough one for EC to take as well, because here they were marching down the field looking like they were getting ready to put up their first points of the game, and then a botched exchange will cost them.
Oh, and you called it exactly right. I mean, on that one, Martin saw the opening as both ends, as we've seen all night, did a lot of just upfield blitzing there without hesitation. And I think he fully expected the ball in his arms there, and when he tried to pull off without it, there was just some disconnect there between him and Shumpert on the most effective way to get that 4th down conversion.
After the penalty, Padua takes over at their own 5-yard line, leading Elyria Catholic 14-0 with 2:41 to play in the 3rd quarter. It's been a while since we last saw this Elyria Catholic defense because of the injuries and whatnot, and now we've got timeout called by Padua. Max, that's a very unusual time to call for a timeout. You wonder if maybe they saw something they just didn't like.
That certainly could be the case. I mean, last time they were down here backed up in their own end, they were able to get a little bit going on that drive, but it wasn't finished with any points. And in a spot like this, they definitely need a good start and going this length of the field here late in the 3rd quarter.
Well, this has been a really, really interesting test for Elyria Catholic. So many times tonight, it's looked like they were going to score, and twice tonight, they've been denied inside the 10-yard line. A lot like what we saw last week with Amherst keeping Midview out of the end zone when it mattered the most.
Yeah, it's gone a long way to kind of take the air out of this stadium at times, and it just continues to put more pressure on that defense.
Padua will operate from their own 5-yard line. Barker set up in the backfield in the shotgun. They'll send Roderick Love in motion far side to the right. They'll throw it out to him in the flat. Able to get past the 5, shakes a defender past the 10. He's tripped up, but he goes down near the 16-yard line, picks up right around 11 yards for a 1st down.
Well, he caught that right near the line of scrimmage, and they just continue to try to get him involved in different ways. And obviously great block starting out the play by Connor Williams, but he continues to show does Love. I mean, making two men miss like that, he is just a problem in the open space.
And they've been trying to change his positioning throughout the half. And we wondered, how would Padua adjust when it looked like EC was dialing up all the right numbers defensively at the end of that first half. Padua made some big adjustments at the half. Connor Williams set in motion. They'll throw it out to Love again. Catches it in the flat. He's able to get past one wave of defense, and he gets past the 45, tackled at the 46-yard line. Love will pick up another fresh set of downs.
And here in this second half, I mean, that's his fourth time hitting double digits on a run or catch. Double digits in yards, I should say, as he's resulting in a lot of chunk plays here and keeping these drives moving.
And they control the clock here, up 14-0 in the way they've been moving the ball down the field. Elyria Catholic's defense starting to show some signs of fatigue. Williams comes in motion. They'll give it to Love. Another big hole to work with. He'll take it up the middle, steps out of one tackle, somehow gets past the 50 up to the EC 49.
That time puts a little bit of the power that he can possess on display. And it was just by a patient play, letting his blocks set up in front of him, especially the pulling linemen. And they've really started to lean on that Panthers defense now.
That's 46 yards that Roderick Love has picked up in the last 3 plays for Padua. They had the ball at their own 5-yard line. Now they're on EC's side of the field.
They're doing so very patiently as well. I mean, they're almost within a minute until we reach the fourth quarter now, and it's just nothing Elyria Catholic can do to stop either of those things at the moment.
Barker drops back to pass. Time to throw. Airs this one out. Down the field looking for Love. Dives and he makes the catch at the 10-yard line. Roderick Love is doing it every way possible here tonight. A terrific diving catch to set up Padua first and goal.
I mean, they set him up in the seam there in the slot. I mean, he still was being double covered. It did not matter. And you almost thought right there that Barker was going to outthrow him, but Roderick Love refused to let that happen running under it. What an amazing play by a guy that is being recruited as a running back. That might get him some looks at receiver as well.
And on this drive, it sure looks like Padua is going for the kill. Up 14-0, 30 seconds left in the third. Barker hands off to Love, has some room to work with, works his way up the middle, he gets into the end zone, touchdown Roderick Love. His second trip to pay dirt tonight, a 10-yard touchdown dash, and that'll make it 20-0 Padua with 19 seconds to go in the third. We'll call that the Roderick Love drive. He accounted for all 95 yards of that drive.
And that just shows off the creativity of that Padua offensive coaching staff as well. I mean, they dialed it up every which way possible, and it resulted in perhaps their best drive of the night.
It'll be Caleb Zolkowski on for the extra point. 2 for 2 on these so far. And make it 3 for 3 as he punches that one through. Padua 21, Elyria Catholic nothing. 19 seconds left in the third on the Lorain County Sports Network. Roderick Love accounted for all 95 yards on that 5-play drive for Padua, and he finished it with a 10-yard touchdown rush. It's 21-0 Padua over Elyria Catholic with 19 seconds to play in the third. Glad to have you with us tonight on the Lorain County Sports Network. Andy Bulbarch and Max Drummond on the call. Edwin Vereen, our director. Sam Sovacool working the camera tonight. Caleb Zolkowski set to kick it back to Elyria Catholic. High kick, end over end. Juels Martin will bobble it and recover it at the 1 yard line. Takes it past the 10, makes a man miss at the 15-yard line. He's able to stretch out to the 16. And Elyria Catholic will be pinned deep inside their own territory here and try and get something going on offense. And look, it's not like they haven't been able to move the ball. They've had the ball on Padua's side of the field a lot here tonight, Max, but they just can't get any points to come of it.
Yeah, they've gotten in their own way a few times, and then also that defense for Padua has stood tall. We've talked about the effort put on by the Panthers on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we can't leave out the great job that the Bruins have been able to pull off as well, and they've really kept these standout receivers in check for most of the night.
They have turned it over on downs or fumbled inside the red zone a couple of times tonight. And an empty backfield look here for Darrell Shumpert. Padua showing some pressure. Shumpert drops back. Rolls out near side of the right, looking down the field, fires it incomplete. He was looking for Jaden Ramos. Max, that's the other thing that stands out. When they're bringing pressure, they're leaving their guys in one-on-one coverage, and that hasn't seemed to matter.
No, it hasn't bothered them at all, and they trust these guys on islands. They've done that for most of the season, and they live by it, and they've died by it at times. But tonight it's working, and it's been effective to see these linebackers not only be able to drop into coverage but blitz like that, because when they do show the blitz, you never know if they're actually going to come or not, and that's a very stressful thing for a quarterback to have to deal with.
Martin will work off the left tip of Shumpert, who's got 4 receivers at his disposal. They'll give to Martin. Martin makes a man miss, works his way to the sideline, bumped out of bounds by Ruggiero near the 25. That'll be just shy of a first down, and that brings us to the end of the third quarter. At the end of 3, Padua 21, Elyria Catholic nothing on the Lorain County Sports Network. Three down, 1 to go. Padua leads Elyria Catholic 21-0 here at Dan Reeser Stadium. EC looking at a 3rd and short scenario here in just a moment. And you know, Max, this is just an offense that's trying to find their way here tonight. They've lost 48-28, 32-26, 27-0, and 25-9. The last 2 weeks, they haven't been able to get anything going offensively.
Yeah, they've struggled for an identity a little bit, and we've seen that carry over into tonight.
They'll hand this one off to Martin. He's got room to run up the middle, picks up the first down as he's tackled at the 28. And when you're working with a freshman tailback, I mean, you're never totally sure what to expect. He certainly hasn't been the problem here tonight. He hasn't had a ton of room to run. And now we've got some whistles. And we have an injured player down in the field for EC. And as they tend to that injured lineman, we'll keep it right here since we just took a break. But, you know, you can also learn some things in a losing experience. And that's one of the questions I had asked Coach Ferris during the pregame show. What kinds of things do you think that you learn along the way in games that maybe you suffer a couple of setbacks? And he said, look, you know, we really hope that our young guys learn how to deal with adversity and learn how to build off of that and try and make sure you don't make some of the same mistakes more than once. And it's been a tough first half of the season for this group. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they faced some tough teams. You know, Bishop Hartley, a 20-point loss. They were up big on Mayfield, but then the Wildcats came back and pulled the wool over their eyes to win by 6. And then sometimes the momentum of one game can certainly be pushed into the next, and you kind of get a feeling that maybe some of that happened in that 27-0 loss against Midview.
Yeah, in a game like that a couple weekends ago, played right into the Middies' hands. I mean, it was just an ugly, disastrous weather night, and they took full advantage of an EC team that, especially that has been without Zion Castillo, has really had to rely on their passing game. And just last week, they did hold a lead at one point over Vermilion, but they've proven to be a very strong second-half team this season. So it's just, and it's like you talked about, you don't want to be beat or make the same mistakes, be beaten the same way. And I don't necessarily think they have. It's just that there's been a couple different things that each of these teams they faced have presented, and it kind of clashes with what they're strong at. So just being able to adapt here as the season goes on is going to be really important for the Panthers.
So it's first down for EC at their own 28-yard line. An empty backfield here for Darrell Shumpert. Runs out near side left, looking down the field. They set up a screen. And this will be caught by Cherry. Cherry gets out in open space, and he's tackled at the 50-yard line. Somehow, some way, Riley Cervenka was able to tackle him at the 50. If he gets by him, he's probably still running.
Yeah, he put the afterburners on right there. And, I mean, he just slipped out. Nice little drag route after rolling the opposite way. It was a beautiful play setup.
Well, Jazir Cherry has hauled in 2 big passes over the last 5 minutes of game time anyways. Nobody in the backfield with Shumpert again. Pressure coming again from Padua. He'll roll out near side left, looking down the field. Lobs this one up down the right side. The pass falls incomplete for Xavier Castillo, who kind of had to become a defender on that play and make sure that wasn't intercepted.
Yeah, he certainly had a route that was asking him to sit down there at that point, as he did not expect the ball to come his way, but good job reacting there by the senior and trying to at least make a play on the ball, because you probably feel that Shumpert wanted to get that one almost out of bounds, but he was going off his back foot while being shoved to the ground. It's a lot easier said than done to get that ball to carry over to the sideline.
2nd and 10 for EC. They'll keep the same personnel on the field with this 5-wide look. Pressure coming again from Padua. Linebackers creeping up to the line. Pass goes across the middle, incomplete. He was looking for Xavier Castillo. That pass had some mustard on it, and Castillo just couldn't quite haul that in inside the 35.
And these longer developing routes, they've been a little bit of a problem to try to pull off. It's been a lot more damage done after the catch, and this pass rush is exactly why. And that Padua coaching staff having no regrets about sending this pressure, and they're going to continue to do it until EC's front line can either prove they can block it or that they leave a running back or tight end in to help with that pass protection.
3rd down and 10 for the Panthers. Shumpert drops back, facing pressure, steps up, gets away from one defender, looking down the field, fires. The pass is caught along the far sideline for a first down. He got that to Connor Latia. Somehow he escaped being sacked at the 49 of EC, and they move the sticks.
Yeah, I mean, that was a Houdini act right there from the senior quarterback Shumpert, as he got out of the grasp of Andrew Merzakowski right there, and looked like he almost spun away twice from him.
Ball placed at the 38 of Padua. 1st down and 10 for Elyria Catholic. Shumpert drops back, throws this one deep down the far sideline, looking for Castillo. The pass goes incomplete. Kyle Krawczyk on the coverage. And now they're taking some deeper shots down the field. You might expect that, though, in a scenario like this where you're down 21-0, you kind of have to take those chances.
Definitely right. And, I mean, they do have the speed on the perimeter. It's just that in a lot of these spots, a lot of these positions, Padua can match that. And if there's not a route concept going on, it becomes a little bit simpler for the Bruins to try to deal with.
On 2nd and 10. They'll throw to Castillo again. Makes the catch coming across the middle, and he's twisted to the turf near the right hash, close to the 28-yard line. And I think he's going to be a little bit short. Check that. He's not short. He's got the first down. They'll give him the first down at the 28.
Well, and a good job by Shumpert. Not only did he get the ball out quickly, but he had some firepower on that, and it had to be in order to fit that in there for Castillo to react after making the catch.
They'll give this one to Joels Martin. Tries to juke his way up to the 25. However, he is corralled and dropped. It was Ethan Madej, one of the first ones there to stop him and wait for the rest of his troops to come in and help him out. And Xavier Castillo is hopping off the field. That's a guy you really can't afford to miss if you're Elyria Catholic, knowing just how explosive he can be.
Especially in these no-doubt passing situations.
9:40 to play, fourth quarter. Elyria Catholic down 21-0. They're on the move here, inside the 30. Schumpert back to pass, throws right side. The pass is knocked away at the last moment, incomplete. He was looking for Connor Latia, but Ryan Arcos snuck his hand in there at the last moment to bat that down.
Well, he had the right idea, certainly. I mean, good job by Latia getting the separation on Arco, but he just puts that paw out last second and is able to knock it down. And that's the advantage of having all those linebackers out there. They double really well. They're almost like box safeties in a way, as they're able to keep up with a lot of these receiving targets.
Third down and 9 at the Padua 27-yard line. Well, EC is kind of teased all night long. They just have not been able to deliver. Schumpert with time, steps up, throws across the middle. The pass is caught by Petrus, gets inside the 10. He's inside the 5, and he is trying to keep the play going. It looks like he stepped out near the 2-yard line.
And Schumpert, beautiful job there. That is textbook on reading your progressions as he worked across the formation and eventually found Petrus breaking open across the middle there.
First down and goal at the 2-yard line. Schumpert takes the snap. He's going to give this one to Toten. Toten lost the ball at the end of the play near the 1-yard line. And the ball has been recovered by Padua. Toten lost the ball at the very end as it looked like he was going to the turf. The ball was on the turf just long enough for Padua to jump on it. And any time it looks like Elyria Catholic is poised to score, this Padua defense just finds a way to make something happen.
They certainly do, and it was a good job gang tackling there. As it looked like he might have been able to power his way into the end zone, but more Bruins just kept coming, and eventually one of them was able to rip that ball out. And we've seen this movie before, haven't we? As once again, Padua will start at their own 1-yard line.
I mean, it's so tough for any high schooler to overcome that. I mean, to fumble it twice inside your own 10-yard line and then be denied on a turnover on downs inside the opposing team's 5. That's 3 golden opportunities to score in which you come away with no points. They'll give to Love, and Love's able to push the pile up to maybe the 3-yard line.
And, you know, Roderick Love, not the biggest guy, standing at 5'9", 170. And in a situation like this, you may think, oh, well, we need a bigger bruising back in there. Well, not necessarily. You just need whatever you can, the quickest way possible out of the end zone, and he put that on display. Otherwise, if he was any slower or a step behind, I mean, it looked like Trent Merrill might have been able to get him in the end zone for a safety.
Well, they have just a little extra room to work with here as they'll send this snap back from about the 3-yard line. They'll give it to Love again. He gets out in open space, but Mikey Bates is able to tackle him just outside the hash, close to the 12-yard line for a first down.
And that's a nerve-wracking situation to be in. He was the last line of defense, one-on-one, and just a great tackle to shut him down. Obviously, they give up the first down, but that's a lot better than him still running right now, as Roderick Love may very well be if he doesn't make that.
You credit this Padua defense, because they have just taken a number of big shots inside that 10-yard line. They've been able to hold up at the point of attack. They'll pitch it to Love again. Love scoots his way past the 20, corralled at the 22. About an 8-yard pickup. And we mentioned it before, Max, but look, I mean, I think that's just so hard to overcome. 21-0 scored 3 times. They've had the ball inside the 10 and come away with nothing.
And it's it can definitely be demoralizing, and they do have a couple of guys having to go both ways, so there's not even really a break in action for the ones that just experience it. They got to get right back out there, and it can definitely have an effect mentally.
This could end up being Padua's 4th consecutive game where either they've been shut out or they have shut the opposition out. Barker will pitch it left side. They go to Love again. Turns it up the field. Almost got his way out of a tackle at the 27, but he was stopped after a pickup of just about 4. Connor Soltis on the stop. But they'll give the chain gang some more exercise on the opposite side of the field. That's the 4th straight rush to Love on this drive. And the way he's running the ball, why would you go anywhere else at this point?
Right. I mean, he's definitely the bell cow right now. And you talked about last drive, the fatigue starting to settle in. And that's definitely opened up this east-west running attack. As in the first half, there really wasn't a whole lot of that. They made most of their positive gains going north and south up the middle. And right now, it's just any way they want for that Bruins offense.
Handoff goes to Love again. Turns the corner left side past the 35. Gets to the near sideline. Mikey Bates is able to stop him at the 48-yard line. And at this point, Max, I mean, you kind of know that it's coming, but when you're gassed, even if you know what's coming, it's just so tough to stop.
And that right there, I mean, that's his 3rd run of at least 20 yards or more. And 2 of those coming in, or excuse me, 3 of those coming here in this second half, as he's definitely just grinding away and finishing off the runs with power as well. He's not satisfied just by picking up the first 15. He wants to power his way through for an extra couple yards.
Big shift in personnel here as they put the tackle Brandon Hamady in as kind of a wing here. They'll give it off to Chase Weiser. Weiser gets across the corner left side. He's tackled at the 49-yard line. We have a flag thrown from the official on the near side. And this is going against Padua. It's a hold against the Bruins.
Well, and with Love out of the game there, not seeing as much burst from handoff to line of scrimmage, so that means these blockers here, when he's not in the game, definitely have to hold those blocks a little longer, and it turned into a hold there as the Elyria Catholic front still showing a lot of pursuit getting after these ball carriers.
Want to remind you that coming up at the end of the game, to stay tuned on WDLW and WOBO for Dave Krajinski, Paul Williams, and Maria Janasco on the postgame show brought to you by I-90 Nissan in Sheffield Village. We'll talk to some of the game-winning coaches and players tonight and discuss all that went down across the county and beyond. Barker will hand this one off up the middle again. This is taken by Weiser up to the 45, so he picks up 7. And timeout has been called by Elyria Catholic. Timeouts throughout the night are brought to you by Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran, securing and organizing real estate documents. That's Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. 5:28 to play in this one. Padua 21, Elyria Catholic nothing on the Lorain County Sports Network. Justin Gillespie is the tailback here on 2nd down and long for the Padua Bruins. Barker gets the snap. They'll give to Gillespie. Gillespie takes it past the 50-yard line, collides with the defender right around the 47 of Elyria Catholic. Picks up a pretty good chunk to make this a 3rd and manageable scenario for the Bruins.
I mean, that was a violent collision between him and Soltis. Leads to a 3rd down here, though, for a chance at Elyria Catholic getting off the field.
That may be our potential target for the Ernie's Auto Body collision of the game. That's Ernie's Auto Body, the top auto body shop at Avon. Inside of 5 minutes to play in this one. 3rd down and 6 from the Elyria Catholic 46-yard line. Barker on a delayed handoff to Gillespie. He is stopped at the 50-yard line. Nowhere to go. And Yadi Perez was one of the first ones there to say no, sir, setting up 4th down.
Well, he's continued to fly around even late into this second half as he refuses to get tired. And that's the one area, and it's the reason they haven't gone back to it much, but this Padua offense on the draws and delayed handoffs, it really just hasn't been effective as that defensive line, given that delay, has just been able to really corral these ball carriers and stop them in the backfield.
Caleb Zolkowski set to punt it away. Connor Petrus inside his own 10-yard line set to receive it. He'll send the snap back, and he'll punt this away. Wobbling toward the near side, bounces inside the 20, inside the 10. That rolls out of bounds, waiting on confirmation from the official, but it looks like he's marked that down right around the 6-yard line. And Max, if you're Elyria Catholic, you look back at this game and you kind of wonder what could have been. Down 21-0. 3 times they've been denied inside the 10-yard line.
Hey, you're certainly right. I mean, there's going to be a few things to point to. Penalties and simply put, some execution of some play calls that were there, were available, but just waiting on them to get healthier too, I think will go a long way as they are without some key guys, lost some key guys from time to time tonight. We still haven't seen Xavier Castillo re-enter the game, so that'll definitely go a long way in helping them get on the right track. But yes, definitely a few things that they were in control of that just they let get away.
Darrell Shumpert drops back, surveying the field, rolling out to the right, throws right side. It's caught by Ramos, takes it past the 20 and dropped to the 23-yard line for an EC 1st down.
Well, good job there by Ramos and Latif keeping the play alive as they continued to scramble as their quarterback did, and it opened up the middle part of that defense.
They'll get to the line quickly here. Shumpert looking to his left, fires to his left. It's caught by Jazir Cherry inside the 30 at the 31, where he stood up immediately after a pickup of just about 7.
And because the Padua defense likes to go man coverage a lot, these slants have been open thanks to respecting that speed, and there's been at least a 5-yard cushion at a time, and they just haven't been able to exploit it enough, though, to make this Padua defense change their formatting.
Pressure coming again. Shumpert fires this one for Ramos down the field. That pass falls incomplete. He took a shot at the very end of that play by Nick Kelly. Kelly, just a sophomore, but we've said that name a ton tonight.
Well, and as soon as the ball went into the air, I mean, you saw the safety there for the Bruins immediately break on the receiver. He had no interest in trying to pick that one off. He just knew, I got to get there to break this up, and he certainly played a part there.
3rd down and 2. They'll get this one inside to Martin. Martin fights his way up to the 34 for 1st down yardage, and that'll move the sticks again.
And I think that's where the biggest part of their offense is, obviously in the running game has struggled, is that just every yard, it just feels like it's 2 yards, feels like 5 for this offense just because it's been difficult at the point of attack establishing a good push up there.
Play action fake. Shumpert rolls out to the right, being chased, throws it down the field. The pass is nearly intercepted by Connor Williams. He kept that away from Connor Petrus.
And over the middle there, just a dangerous pass. Obviously trying to make something happen here late in this game, and just not to be at the moment. This secondary has proven pretty solid all night.
Yeah, and look, like you talked about before, we expected man coverage. They've gotten that all night because they've applied some pressure, but they have been able to hang with these EC receivers all night long. Martin in motion near side left. A flag has been thrown. It'll be a procedure penalty against Elyria Catholic.
And that's been a theme tonight, unfortunately, as we've seen a few times where they get behind schedule or behind the chains, and it just makes it that much more difficult for Shumpert and that offensive line to hold up. Because as a result, I mean, when this defense has smelled blood in the water like this, they have not let up, and we see again, as we have for much of the night, these linebackers creeping up.
Martin in motion to the left. Shumpert throws it right side. Ramos can't make the catch at the 49-yard line, falling to his backside. And Max, I'm not so sure if that ball might have been tipped on its way over to him. Tough to tell from here. But as he kind of stumbled, he tried to make that catch falling backwards. And it'll be 3rd and long.
Certainly he had to adjust very late into that route as he had to fully stop himself. He was trying to go deep with it, go past midfield almost, but he was forced to sit down between the two Bruins, and it just a tough adjustment to try to make on the fly.
Shumpert has time to throw. Across the middle he goes to Latia. Latia will make his way past the 40 to the 41. Latia was tackled by Nick Kelly. A few yards shy of a first down, setting up 4th down and about 3.
Well, and it's a shame they haven't been able to finish some of these drives because throughout the night, I mean, Shumpert's made plays like that where he's made the smart move, taking the check down, taking what's been given to him rather than risking a turnover or a play that might flip the field on them in momentum-wise as well.
Timeout called by Elyria Catholic with 1:47 to play in this one. They're down 21-0 to Padua. One of the things I took away in my conversation with Padua head coach Kevin Kubit earlier this week, he said our motto all throughout the offseason, going all the way back to last November when the last season ended, through weightlifting in the offseason, the training camp, and of course the first 4 games of this year, is to finish. Finish everything that you do. When you're lifting in the weight room, finish every single set. Offense, finish plays, finish drives, same thing with my defense, right? I wanted to finish. They have finished a lot of EC drives in big-time fashion here tonight. Whether it be making a big goal line stand, forcing a couple of big fumbles inside the 10-yard line, they've done the ones who have been finishing tonight, and it shows in the scoreboard.
Yeah, they've done it by the definition. I mean, even if the opposing team has gone 80, almost 90 yards on them, they just aren't willing to quit. And then offensively, they had the big play in the first half, but here in the second half, it's just been through consistently going at EC and not backing down at any point.
4th down and 4 for EC at their own 41-yard line. Panthers trying to avoid being shut out for the 2nd time this season. And if they can't come up with any points in the next 1 minute and 47 seconds, they will have scored just 9 points in their last 3 games. And it looks like the play clock expired on EC. That's a really, really tough pill to swallow for EC, coming out of a timeout to take a delay of game penalty.
That's right. Now it pushes them back to a point where it would be very tough to pick up, as we've seen in those 4th and long tonight. Padua's just sat right at the sticks and made it very difficult to find any openings up there, and they're not willing to test them again.
They'll punt it away. Toten with a low line drive kick that goes past the 40. That's still rolling for EC. It'll be down near the 35-yard line. And I think it comes into question, well, why punt it there? When it's a 21-0 game and you're down to just one timeout with $1:45 to play. If you're EC head coach Chase Ferris, you're probably frustrated beyond belief that you take a delay of game penalty coming out of a timeout. And sometimes you get into a position where sometimes you just think to yourself, we need to punt it back and just go right back to the drawing board and maybe let the last 90 seconds or so expire off the clock.
That's right, that could be the case. And their offense has shown as much as they can tonight. They've put a lot on tape here, and maybe don't want to pull out anything else and save a few things for later in the season.
So they give it to Chase Weiser, who's able to scoot his way up to the 49-yard line. This will be the final drive of the contest, as Elyria Catholic only has one timeout left to work with, down 21-0, and Even though he stepped out, the officials were indicating that they wanted the clock to run, or at least one of the officials did.
Well, now for Padua, we see the junior backup quarterback Landon Hanover in there operating the offense for the Bruins at the moment.
Well, they'll give to Weiser again. Weiser's able to make his way up to about the 49 of Elyria Catholic. At least that's the official on the near side has indicated he wants that ball spotted.
Yeah, ripped down there by Brian Kelly. Maybe even pulled him forward a tad bit, but good job shutting down that play.
The officials called for time as Joey Schill was a little slow to come away from that play. And he will be replaced by Riley Edmondson. Padua should only have to run one more play here before they put this one away. Four straight decisions for Padua that will result in a shutout. Just crazy how that's worked for the Bruins this season.
That's right. Some teams not even able to say that after a full 10 games. So they've definitely been able to figure some things out each of these first 5 weeks.
Weiser will take it up to about the 48-yard line. It's a no-gainer, and that will bring us to the end of this one with 20 seconds left on this fourth quarter clock. The offense is lining up like they want to run one more play. They don't have to. I can't imagine why they would here. I mean, doing so kind of gives you the open window for some bad blood. There's really no need to do it here, and that'll take us to the end of the game. 21-0, Padua a winner over Elyria Catholic. We'll take a timeout and come back to recap this one for you on the I-90 Nissan of Sheffield Village postgame show here on the Lorain County Sports Network. 21-0, your final count tonight. Padua a winner over Elyria Catholic. A tough game for the Panthers as they fall to 0-5 on the season. Padua improves to 3-2. Glad to have you with us here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Andy Bolbarch, Max Drummond with you, Edwin Vereen, our director, Sam Sovacool working the camera tonight. We'll get into some of the final numbers here in just a moment, Max, but this is a game of missed opportunities for EC. Panthers had it inside the Padua 10-yard line 3 times, came away with no points, and the offense just had a real tough time getting things going here tonight. And this is the second time in the last 3 games EC's been shut out. They've been limited to just 9 points in their last 3 games.
Yeah, and they've struggled to find that identity, that calling card on offense. And, you know, once they got inside the 10, even if you want to pass the ball, it gets a little tougher. The field's a little more condensed. You have those weapons, but their key traits are speed. And when you're in a short field like that, it doesn't come in as handy. And right now they've had to use a couple different running backs, and that's led to some inconsistency up there. So it only gets tougher here as the season continues to go on. I mean, there's virtually no break or let up on that schedule, so they've got a lot to figure out and not too much time to do so.
Well, you know what? I'll let you kind of talk about that because you brought it up. You're the one that noticed it, not me, about what's coming up next for Elyria Catholic and what an interesting matchup that could be next week.
Yeah, that's right. They go to St. Vincent, St. Mary, and you may think, oh, that's a typical matchup between these schools, but it also happens to be Duran Grant leading the Irish out there, the former defensive coordinator on this staff last season, so that adds an extra dynamic to that game between 2 schools that are both going to be looking to head in a more positive direction as they reach into week 6.
Yeah, and look, in a couple of weeks, they've got Benedictine. You and I saw them at Avon Lake a couple of weeks ago, so we know that'll be a very difficult test for EC in a couple of weeks. So things don't get easier for the Panthers moving forward. And tonight, just a really difficult test. And we knew that Padua would come in, testing them in a number of different ways. And this Padua defense was terrific. You know, this is the 4th straight decision that's resulted in a shutout for Padua. They lost 28-0 last week to Sandusky. The week before that, they won against Lutheran West with an identical score of 28-0. So this defense certainly has shown what they can do before this season. And tonight you just got the sense that they were more back at full strength, because if you watch them in week 1 against the Lions, they just looked like a much different offense with Roderick Love healthy. He was out the last couple of weeks, and everybody here in attendance tonight got a really good taste of what Roderick Love could do. He was so explosive all night long, and he was the difference maker.
Yeah, I mean, once they were able to integrate him into that game plan, especially as we saw in the second half, I mean, they were a well-oiled machine, and as the game went on, you could tell Elyria Catholic's defense did the best they could to try to maintain a sense of order in this game and not let it get out of hand. But just because of the great runner they faced, it's almost impossible when you can't respond, or if you are on the field so often like they were.
Postgame show is brought to you by I-90 Nissan in Sheffield Village, because the deals are so good. All right, we have to get to a scoring recap. We'll do that now, and then I'll hand things over to Max for our stats of the game. In this one, second drive of the game, great field position for the Padua Bruins. They took over after Elyria Catholic turned it over on downs at their own 44-yard line. 2 plays later, Nick Barker was able to run it in from 21 yards out to make it 7-0. That was our score at the half. Seemed like the momentum was just kind of hanging in the balance, but then Padua was able to go 80 yards down the field. Roderick Love on a 17-yard touchdown rush made it 14-0. EC drove down the field, looked like they were poised to cut that lead in half, but they fumbled the ball inside the 10-yard line. Padua recovered it, and they picked it up at their own 5-yard line, and then the drive of the game ended up being the Roderick Love drive. 5 plays, all 95 yards on those 5 plays, accounted for by Roderick Love. He finished that drive at a 10-yard touchdown rush to make it 21-0, and that was the final count in this one. More on Roderick Love here in just a moment, but now it's time for our stats of the night, brought to you by Al Januzzi CPA. It's all about the numbers with Al Januzzi CPA, and Max Drummond has those numbers.
And they certainly pop off the paper here. We'll start with Roderick Love. as he had 29 total touches, so he came back in a big way this evening. 270 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns, and you mentioned it, 95 of that coming from that drive there late in the second half, just kind of solidifying the game for them. And you look elsewhere, Nick Barker also contributed on the ground, especially with that 21-yard touchdown run to open the game on their first drive in the first quarter. And you look elsewhere, so they totaled up 289 yards on the ground as a group. Through the air, 9 to 17, 137 and a pick, so a modest night. We've seen Barker go for over 200 yards a couple times. Didn't need to tonight by any means. And then looking over at Elyria Catholic, they struggled on the ground just as a group, averaging 2.8 yards a carry, just not able to find enough consistency to help out Darrell Schumpert and that passing offense, which at times was very effective. 18 to 28, 224 yards. Leading receiver went to Xavier Castillo, 3 for 54, and Petrus also had 4 catches for 50 yards. And interesting fact, I mean, both teams ran 50 plays, and we see that Padua had 426 yards, EC 286. So quite a disparity there, and the running game had a big part to play in that.
Certainly did. This was a night full of big collisions. We only have to pick one, though, for our Ernie's Auto Body collision of the night. And that came when this game was pretty much already in doubt. When we took a look at that last drive, or second to last drive, rather, for Padua, Connor Soltis put the big hit on the third-string tailback, Justin Gillespie. And it was one of those big hits that kind of made you go, because it gave you the impression that even though EC was going to lose this game, Connor Soltis wasn't giving up. He applied the big stick, and that was our collision of the game, brought to you by Ernie's Auto Body, the top auto body shop in Avon. The drive of the game, well, we kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier. One guy accounted for 95 yards in a 5-play drive, and a 10-yard touchdown rush from Roderick Love ended that drive, making it 21-0. That removed all doubt in this one. The drive of the game brought to you by Valley Chevrolet. Keep on driving with Valley Chevrolet in Wellington and Huron. Having said all that, not a very difficult decision when it comes to our Zabo Apparel Company player of the game. Be game day ready all year long. That's Zabo Apparel Company. We said the name Roderick Love probably 100,000 times here tonight, and for good reason, Max.
You're absolutely right. I mean, he demands the ball. It's almost like you can't afford not to give it to him, especially later in the game. And he certainly is solidifying his recruiting status. But also, I think he may be showing that running back isn't the only position he could play moving forward. Just really talented player at several spots on that offense.
No question about that. So congratulations to Roderick Love, our Zabo Apparel Company player of the game. One last thing, we've got the big play of the game brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lorain County. Be a big, get a big. That's Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lorain County. Well, there were a lot of big plays in this contest. I think if you take a look at the big chunk yards in this game, many of those belong to Roderick Love. But I think that the play that really kind of changed all of this here tonight, Max, when EC had the ball, they were driving down the field. Looked like they were going to make it 14-7, get on the board. They fumbled the ball inside the 5-yard line. Padua recovered. I think that was the big play of the game because at that point, Padua took over, and 5 plays later, they were in the end zone to take a 21-0 lead.
It doesn't always have to come in the form of an electric offensive play. It's ones that shift the momentum, and that certainly did that. As there were a couple times where it looked like EC would be able to hang on or be able to withstand that momentum, but not on that one, as you mentioned what Padua was able to do the following drive.
21-0 was our final score here tonight. Padua a winner over EC. Panthers still looking for their first win of the season. They're 0-5. Padua with the win goes to 3-2. Want to remind you that coming your way next Friday night, we'll be in North Ridgeville where the Rangers take on the Elyria Pioneers. Of course, North Ridgeville with a big matchup tonight against Avon. Things weren't going so well for them at last check. They were down 30-0. If they had won that game, I think you could look at that matchup next week as a bit of a trap game. But now you look at it and you start to think, man, they're probably licking their chops and a little upset at what went down against Avon this week. But that's where we will be next week in North Ridgeville for the Rangers and the Elyria Pioneers. The Four Horsemen back at it again 1 week from today. before we sign off, I'll let you tell everybody where you're going to be for the LC8 matchup, the junior LC8 matchup tomorrow.
That's right. We'll be, for our second week in a row, we'll be up at Brookside High School in Sheffield Village. And we got to see a couple teams for the first time last week. And now we'll be a little bit more familiar with them. So Jared Vinecourt, Sam Sovacool, myself, Paul Williams as well will all be on site there with games beginning around 3 o'clock.
Great stuff. Well, great job out of you as always, partner. Look forward to doing this again next week.
Can't wait. As we continue to jump around to a couple different conferences here, it gives us a little bit more diversity here in Lorain County, so always love that.
No doubt about that. Again, your final score, Padua 21, Elyria Catholic nothing. We invite all of you to dial up WDLW and WOBL. You can also follow that broadcast on the Facebook live stream as well for Dave Grenchinsky and Paul Williams and Maria Janasco back at the Radio Ranch. For the I-90 of Nissan and Sheffield Village post-game show, they'll have the final scores, stats. They'll also talk to some of the game-winning coaches and players from the area as well. That's coming your way here in just a few moments. That's all the time we have for you tonight. A big thanks to all of you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast on the Lorain County Sports Network. However you took this one in and wherever you took it in from, we appreciate you making us a part of your Friday night. We'd like to say thanks to the entire staff here at Dan Reeser Stadium. Athletic Director Jim Piazza and company do such a wonderful job of hosting us up here. Treated us like absolute gold. We always appreciate that. It even included a golf cart ride up here to the press box. That was awesome. We certainly appreciate their help and hospitality in preparation for tonight's broadcast. My thanks to the entire broadcast team. My tag team partner, Max Drummond, for his colorful analysis throughout the night. The captain of the ship, our director, Edwin Vereen, getting us on, keeping us on, making sure that you could see every last bit of this one. And our cameraman, Sam Sovacool, up on the roof doing a wonderful job all night long. For Sam, Edwin, and Max, this is Andy Bullbarch saying thanks again for tuning in to tonight's broadcast here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Please enjoy your weekend.